Chapter 521. This time, Leng Yeling didn't leave after 2 days like he usually did. He had been waiting at the sect for Mo Yuntian's return. He wanted to see Feng Filing, but he also wanted to find out what had happened in the sect recently. The sect had changed too much. The houses had been renovated, the array had been rearranged, and the spirit plants and herbs had been transplanted. According to the sect disciples, these were all thanks to Aunt Saintus. The devil sect was developing in a good direction, so he didn't have any enmity towards this mysterious Aunt Saintus. At first, he wanted to recognize her to prevent any misunderstandings and conflicts in the future. In short, the trigger point was good. But he really didn't expect that the result would be like this. About a month later, Mo Yuntian and Tang Guo returned. This time, they returned with a full load. Everyone who came along was full of smiles. Bai Wuqing had been following them silently. Everyone was used to it. And Bai Wuqing couldn't take his eyes off her. Every time he thought of her leaving the Star Moon sect, he felt sad. He didn't know how to explain it, and he couldn't explain it. He always knew that Xiao Guo had feelings for him. Xiao Guo didn't do anything. She just used her identity to create all kinds of opportunities to interact with him. She asked him what he liked and often prepared these for him. But he was a person who liked peace and quiet. There were so many rumors in the sect. He didn't know her well enough and thought that she had ulterior motives. Naturally, he loathed her for harming Feng Filing and stealing the sect's most valuable treasures. There were so many suspicious points, but he deliberately didn't get to the bottom of it, causing her to be destroyed and expelled from the sect. In the end, it was his own selfishness. He thought that he could get rid of this troublesome disciple. He didn't expect that this would be the decision he regretted the most. After all, he was her master. No matter what, he should find out the truth when she was in trouble. Young sect master, Aunt Saintus is back. A disciple came to report. Out of courtesy, Leng Yeling hurried over to meet her. After Tang Guo entered the sect, she took off her bamboo hat. When the disciples saw her, they all called her Aunt Saintus. She nodded and smiled in response. Leng Yeling heard it from afar. Sect master, Aunt Saintus, the young sect master is back. Hearing this, Mo Yuntian silently looked at Tang Guo. Seeing the smile on her face, he couldn't see anything. He silently lit a candle for his disciple in his heart. Got it. Leng Yeling stepped into the hall and called out, Master. Then he raised his head. You still know to come back. Leng Yeling recalled the last time he had left the devil's sect and had gotten into an argument with Mo Yuntian. He felt a little guilty. If Master had not brought him back, he might have really died then. Master, I was wrong. Mo Yuntian really didn't want to see Leng Yeling right now. He snorted coldly. After raising him for so many years, he still talked back to him because of a woman. He only thought that Feng Filing was strange and told Leng Yeling to be careful. He didn't expect that his disciple, who had always respected him, would roar at him. At that time, he couldn't help it. Now that the campus bell was here, he didn't care too much about it. He felt that the campus bell coming here should have something to do with Feng Filing. Since the campus bell was willing to let Leng Yeling go, what was there for him to worry about? Properly developing the devil's sect was the right path. The devil's sect was going to attack the righteous sect. This is my adopted sister. Come and greet her. From now on, call her aunt. Chapter 522. Hearing Mo Yuntian's words, Leng Yeling instinctively followed his words and looked for the person in the hall. He immediately saw Tang Guo dressed in white, and that exceptionally familiar face. Why are you here? At this moment, Leng Yeling still hadn't thought that this was the sacred lady's aunt, the person he would have to call aunt in the future. Tang Guo smiled. Before she could speak, Mo Yuntian glared at him. Bastard, what do you mean by you? This is your aunt, the devil sect's sacred lady's aunt, my adopted sister. Don't you dare to call her aunt. Leng Yeling didn't know. How could this be? How could Tang Guo become his aunt? He would have to call her aunt when he saw her in the future. This must be a dream. Master, you're joking with me, right? Leng Yeling didn't believe it. His cold face was filled with coldness. Master, do you know who she is? She's the one who harmed Ling Er. Her spiritual roots have been destroyed by me, and she's even been expelled from the Star Moon sect by Master Wen. Mo Yuntian originally wanted to save his foolish disciple, but at this moment, he already wanted to give up. It would be better if he didn't mention this. Now that he did, wouldn't the school bell remember this matter? I know all of this. Mo Yuntian said coldly. Yi Ling, no matter what, she's my adopted sister, the Devil Sect's sacred lady's aunt. As for you saying that she harmed the woman you like, I don't care. But I believe that she's not such a person. What a joke. If she really wanted to harm someone, she definitely wouldn't have failed. Her spiritual roots were destroyed, and she was expelled from the sect. What the hell was that? Master, I definitely won't call her aunt, Leng Yeling said angrily. She's not worthy. Calling this person aunt was worse than killing him. But she's my adopted sister. According to the way you address her, she's your aunt. Mo Yuntian's head hurt. He glanced at Bai Wuqing, who was quietly sipping his tea, and quickly said, Elder Bai, you be the judge. Should Yi Ling call this girl aunt? Bai Wuqing didn't expect him to be involved. Naturally, he wouldn't miss this opportunity. His expression turned serious. Yes. This time, his gaze towards Leng Yeling was much colder. Only then did Leng Yeling realize that Bai Wuqing was here. Why are you here? Leng Yeling couldn't remain calm. He looked coldly at Bai Wuqing. Elder Bai, it's not good for a righteous cultivator like you to come to the Devil Sect. What are you talking about? Young sect master doesn't often come to my Starry Moon sect, and even has an ambiguous relationship with Starry Moon sect's disciple, Feng Filing. I'm just imitating young sect master's attitude of not caring about righteous or demonic. Mo Yuntian almost laughed himself to death. Seeing his disciple choking, the anger in his heart eased. When? You. Leng Yeling didn't expect that the holy maiden aunt he was looking forward to was actually Tang Guo. Yi tsas. Big brother Mo, your disciple doesn't seem to want to call me. Tang Guo smiled. It's okay. Whether he calls me that or not, I'm still his aunt. Everyone in the Devil Sect knows this. Soon, the whole cultivation world will know that I'm his aunt. Leng Yeling's head was filled with the words his aunt. It was so swollen that he had a headache. No. Impossible. She wasn't his aunt. Don't even think about it. Leng Yeling said fiercely. Tang Guo smiled. You can't deny it. A smile suddenly appeared on Bai Wuqing's calm face. Young master, you should indeed call her aunt. Get lost. Leng Yeling was furious. Bai Wuqing, you better go back to your Star Moon sect. Don't meddle in my Devil Sect's affairs. Chapter 523. Leng Yeling wanted to rush out and leave, but when he thought about how Tang Guo had sneaked into the Devil Sect, he was certain that she was up to no good. He didn't even have time to look for Feng Filing. Instead, he stayed in the sect all day long, secretly observing what Tang Guo wanted to do. After observing for a few days, the atmosphere in the Devil Sect and the disciples' perception of Tang Guo made him very worried about the Devil Sect's future. He didn't have the mood to look for Feng Filing. He must expose Tang Guo's true colors and let all the disciples of the Devil Sect understand that Tang Guo was a bad person who would harm the Devil Sect. Young sect master, that's because you don't understand Aunt Holy Maiden. She's a very good person. Yes, Aunt Holy Maiden taught us how to cultivate spirit plants and took us out to get resources. Leng Yeling wanted to say that that was not her true colors. But these disciples seemed to be possessed. Young sect master, I hope you won't say bad things about Aunt Holy Maiden in the future. Seeing the disciples' angry expressions, Leng Yeling almost fainted from anger. Tang Guo was really good. She actually played the disciples of the Devil Sect like a fool. Why did you come to the Devil Sect? Leng Yeling didn't forget that he had destroyed Tang Guo's spirit root. If you really want to take revenge, just look for me. Don't come to the Devil Sect to cause trouble. He subconsciously thought that Tang Guo held a grudge against him for destroying her spirit root. That was the only enmity between them. He didn't know why, but his master, who always knew right from wrong, was also bewitched by this woman. While Mo Yuntian wasn't in the sect, he found an opportunity to question Tang Guo. If it wasn't for Bai Wuqing, he would definitely kill Tang Guo first. Last time, he felt that he had been too gentle. If he had known, he would have cut off the tendons in her arms and legs to prevent today's disaster. Bai Wuqing felt Leng Yeling's murderous intent and frowned slightly. He walked from the side and stood in front of Tang Guo, blocking Leng Yeling's line of sight. Bai Wuqing, aren't you no longer related to her? Bai Wuqing was a little unhappy. If it wasn't for Leng Yeling and Feng Filing, they wouldn't have nothing to do with each other now. You can just blame it on me for crippling your spirit root. This time, Tang Guo paid attention to Leng Yeling. It should be your fault. You're making it sound like you're the scapegoat. Yes, I did it. Can you leave the devil sect now? Leng Yeling had no feelings for the other members of the devil sect. The only person he was worried about was Mo Yuntian. To him, Mo Yuntian was like a second parent. He absolutely wouldn't allow Tang Guo to harm him. Mo. You too. Not only had she recovered her strength, but she had also broken through to the nascent soul stage in a short period of time. He wasn't surprised by this. It wasn't as if there weren't such opportunities in the cultivation world. Tang Guo herself was a peerless genius. What surprised him the most was Mo Yuntian and Bai Wuqing's attitude towards Tang Guo. Forget about Bai Wuqing. After all, he was once Tang Guo's master. Perhaps he regretted his actions. But what did his master, Mo Yuntian, mean? He obeyed Tang Guo's every word and almost handed the entire devil sect to her. If Leng Yeling knew that Mo Yuntian once had such intentions, he would probably die from anger. Anyway, you better not have any thoughts about the devil sect. Leng Yeling also felt that he had been too emotional recently. He kept his expression and said to Tang Guo coldly, "If I can destroy you once, I can do it countless times." After saying this, he felt Bai Wuqing's gaze on him turn colder. "I won't allow it this time," Bai Wuqing said coldly. His tone was unquestionable. No one suspected that he was joking. Chapter 524. Leng Yeling's face darkened. Bai Wuqing, she has nothing to do with you anymore. Now that she has joined the devil's sect, you're protecting her. Aren't you a righteous person? So what? Bai Wuqing didn't even look up. I don't need a reason to do anything. Are you serious? Bai Wuqing looked up, a smile appearing on his cold and handsome face. Of course. He didn't explain why he was doing this, but he gave off the feeling that he wanted to do this. He didn't know how to explain, and he didn't know how to. Some things couldn't be explained. He had always done what he wanted. He didn't want to see her being bullied. When he heard that Leng Yeling wanted to cripple her a second time, he didn't want this to happen. Hence, he chose to stop him. This time, he wouldn't choose to avoid it. He wouldn't ignore the feelings in his heart and make himself regret it again. Bai Wuqing, you're doing very well. Leng Yeling saw that Bai Wuqing was so stubborn and hated him. He then saw that Tang Guo was looking at the map as if nothing had happened. He sneered. Do you think she'll be grateful to you because you did this? No way. Bai Wuqing, look at her. She's just watching the show. You didn't help her that day, so she hates you. Bai Wuqing's gaze landed on Tang Guo's face. He asked directly, Xiao Guo hates me. A little. He's right. I hate all the people who hurt me, including you. Tang Guo replied directly, her eyebrows curved into a smile. He's right. I hate all those who hurt me, including you. Bai Wuqing retracted his gaze and lowered his eyes. His lips curved slightly. It's okay. Xiao Guo hates me. Leng Yeling was still waiting for the two of them to fall out, but Bai Wuqing didn't play by the rules. He even said that it was only right. How did he not know that Bai Wuqing was such a shameless person? You guys, Leng Yeling gritted his teeth. He couldn't take it anymore and left in a huff. Bai Wuqing didn't care. He sat opposite Tang Guo and didn't have any intention of moving. He saw that the tea was cold, so he heated it up and poured a cup of hot tea for Tang Guo. He held the cup with his slender fingers and handed it to her. He thought that she wouldn't pick it up, but she did. In the past, they had also interacted like this. Xiao Guo always had endless things to say to him. Every time she brought him tea, it was always his favorite flavor. She knew what he liked very well and would always ask him questions about cultivation. As a master, he indeed had no reason to refuse his disciple's guidance. He saw the love hidden in her eyes, and he also saw the nervousness in her eyes every time she came to find him. At this time, Tang Guo was only looking at the map. She lowered her head and pondered, as if she was planning something. Occasionally, a calculating smile would appear on her face. Originally, he didn't like people who were too calculative, but now, looking at her appearance, he couldn't take his eyes off her. In fact, finding someone pleasing to the eye had nothing to do with whether they were good or not. If they were pleasing to the eye, no matter how good or bad they would still be pleasing to the eye. If they were not pleasing to the eye, no matter how good they would still be disgusted. She casually took a sip of the tea he poured for her, and it gave him a sense of satisfaction. He was stunned. He remembered that in the past, when she poured the purest tea for him, she also seemed to be happy after he drank it. At that time, did she feel the same as he did now? She felt the same joy. Bai Wuqing's eyes flashed. He seemed to have understood something. Xiao Guo has become quiet. Tang Guo heard him and looked up. I've never been a noisy person. You. Bai Wuqing was stunned for a moment. He wanted to ask why she was always so lively and cheerful in front of him. Tang Guo seemed to know. She smiled and spat out 2 words. Pretending. Pretending to be cute, understand? I heard that you like it. Bai Wuqing didn't like cute girls in the past. Who said that he liked cute girls? Chapter 525. In the blink of an eye, a year had passed. Because of Tang Guo's arrival, the entire devil sect had undergone a complete transformation. Even Leng Yeling, who wanted to kill Tang Guo the most, had to admit that everything that Tang Guo had done did not seem to be detrimental to the devil sect. This made him very suspicious. Could it be that his perception was wrong? Tang Guo was not as bad as he thought. In this year, he would occasionally go and see Feng Filing. However, because he was worried about the devil sect, they did not spend much time together. Personally seeing the devil sect change bit by bit, his heart was very complicated. What made him even more confused was that Bai Wuqing had been staying in the devil sect and did not leave. It was really strange that a righteous sect elder wanted to stay in his devil sect. No matter what, his enmity towards Tang Guo had decreased by a lot. If the other party was obedient, he would not be calculative about what happened in the past. After calming down, Leng Yeling was still worried about Feng Filing. He said goodbye to Mo Yuntian and left. Mo Yuntian shook his head. Yi Ling is really obsessed. He secretly glanced at Tang Guo. She looked indifferent and did not seem to care. He then looked at Bai Wuqing, who was still acting like an invisible person. He also did not expect that Bai Wuqing would stay for a year. Brother Mo, let's go and occupy a territory in a few days. Tang Guo suddenly said. Mo Yuntian was slightly surprised. Which sect? A year had passed, and the devil sect disciples had grown a lot. According to the current situation, the devil sect would definitely get better and better. Brother Mo, we are not going to attack any sect. We are going to save them and bring them under the protection of our devil sect. Tang Guo revealed a smile. They will definitely be very willing. Mo Yuntian and Bai Wuqing looked at each other. They felt that this matter was not simple. Mo Yuntian brought people and followed Tang Guo. This time, they were indeed going to a small sect called the Flying Sand Sect. Tang Guo did not reveal why they were going to attack the Flying Sand Sect. When they arrived at the Flying Sand Sect, Mo Yuntian and Bai Wuqing finally understood why Tang Guo said that she was here to save the sect. The smell of blood assaulted their nostrils. The devil sect's disciples' expressions froze. They quickly looked at Tang Guo, as if asking her what to do. Tang Guo was still wearing her bamboo hat. She waved her hand and appeared on the side of the battlefield. At this time, the elder of the Flying Sand Gate was still bitterly holding on. The other side was actually about the same. If they continued to fight, the two sects would definitely suffer losses, and in the end, other forces would take advantage of them. They had already noticed the appearance of Tangua's group. Faced with the sudden intruder, both sides tacitly stopped fighting. "Who are you? Why have you come here?" the head of the Flying Sand School asked. He seemed extremely vigilant. Tangua took a step forward. She did not reveal her face, nor did she speak. The disciples of the Devil Sect were very clever. They quickly said, "We are from the Devil Sect. This is our Holy Maiden Aunt." Holy Maiden Aunt. The people of the Flying Sand Gate and the other sect were all covered in blood. They were especially confused. When did the Devil Sect have a Holy Maiden Aunt? Tangua did not notice their thoughts. She only said, "If your two sects continue like this, you will immediately face extermination." After saying that, both sides' expressions changed. They looked at each other. In the end, they suppressed the hatred in their eyes and prepared to give up on this battle. "Did you kindly come to remind us? If not, why didn't you wait on the side? Why didn't you wait until both sides were no longer able to fight? No. Disciples of the Devil Sect, listen up. Occupy this place within an hour. Flying Sand Gate." Chapter 526. The Devil Sect came aggressively, and the people from the two sects were caught before they could react. When they realized that they had no power to resist, they all felt despair. The culprit, the Devil Sect's Holy Maiden, was sitting on the seat that originally belonged to the Flying Sand Sect's sect leader. Mo Yuntian was sitting on the other side with a smile on his face. He looked like he was in a daze, but in reality, he was showing off in the group. Tangua scanned the hall, and her gaze finally landed on a young man. "Bring that young man here." Bai Wuqing could not help but look at her. Could it be that Xiao Guo had taken a fancy to that young man? He looked at the young man a few more times. He was quite good-looking, but he could not be compared to him. The young man was especially nervous. His cheeks were slightly pale, and his body was stained with blood. There was fear in his eyes, but also unyielding. He tightly pursed his lips and was brought in front of Tangua. "Are you Wen Yi?" The young man was stunned for a moment. Hearing the gentle voice of this woman, she did not seem like a bad person. He could not help but nod. "Wen Yi is indeed this one. In the future, your Flying Sand Sect will be part of my Devil Sect. Wen Yi, your talent is excellent, and this place is not suitable for you to cultivate. Follow me back to the Devil Sect to cultivate." Wen Yi. He nervously pinched his sleeves and sized up the woman in front of him who was wearing a bamboo hat. Her voice was pleasant to the ears. Could it be that this saintess aunt was interested in him? Could he not comply? If he did not comply, would he be slapped to death? Would the entire sect be destroyed because of him? He heard that devil cultivators were especially cruel, and would eat people to cultivate. It's decided then. As for the sect that had a conflict with you before, it will be merged with the Flying Sand Sect. Seeing that everyone was unwilling, Tangua smiled faintly. "Why did you all have a conflict?" "Naturally, it's because the Flying Sand Sect went too far. They killed our sect's core disciples. If we don't kill them, what face do we have in the cultivation world in the future? We did not kill their core disciples. They were clearly the unreasonable ones, and even caused our sect's disciples to suffer heavy losses." The Flying Sand Sect's sect leader said angrily. Seeing that the two of them were about to quarrel, Tangua waved her hand. "Your sect's core disciples were not killed by the Flying Sand Sect, but by someone else." Everyone looked at Tangua at the same time. Mo Yuntian and Bai Wuqing were both very curious. How did she know? Mo Yuntian suddenly recalled that Tangua knew about reincarnated people. Could it be that she knew everything that would happen in this world in the future? As for who it is, you will know in the future. Now, you are all members of the Devil Sect. All of your territories belong to the Devil Sect. You have to listen to my orders. This Flying Sand Sect will change its name to Devil Sect's Flying Sand Branch in the future. What could people from two sects do? The Devil Sect was a super big sect, and they were just small sects. They couldn't resist. Tangua took Wen Yi away, leaving some disciples of the Devil Sect and a few powerful members of the Devil Sect to deal with the aftermath. Wen Yi trembled as she followed him back to the Devil's Sect. When she walked into the Devil's Sect, She saw a place filled with birds and flowers. The fragrance of the flowers was intoxicating. He thought that the Devil's Sect was a dark place, but he didn't expect it to look like a fairyland. Big Brother Mo, this kid's talent is not bad. How about letting him be your disciple? Mo Yuntian. Big Brother Mo, it would be a pity to miss such a disciple. Mo Yuntian knew that Wen Yi's talent was very good, but he didn't have any thoughts of taking in another disciple. He hurriedly shook his head. There's just one Lung Yeling, and I'm already worried sick. I don't want any disciples. He even wanted to throw away that stupid disciple of Lung Yeling. Chapter 527. So it's like that. Tang Guo thought for a moment, and her eyes lit up. She took off her veiled bamboo hat and smiled at Wen Yi. Then you will be my disciple. Wen Yi really didn't react. But looking at Tang Guo's exquisite and beautiful face, he was stunned. Feeling another cold gaze, he quickly lowered his head. Holy Maiden Aunt, are you really going to accept me as your disciple? Of course. Then disciple greets master. His master helped him snatch resources a few years ago and was killed. No matter how good his talent was, in a small sect like the Flying Sand sect, without a master to take care of him, he wouldn't be able to get any resources. Tang Guo smiled in satisfaction. She called Wen Yi up, bestowed him with a cultivation technique, and asked someone to assign him a room. Wen Yi left with the cultivation technique with a dumbfounded expression. Holy Maiden Aunt sincerely accepted him as her disciple and even gave him such a good cultivation technique. She also asked someone to arrange a room for him and even allocated cultivation resources to him. All of Tang Guo's actions made Bai Wuqing very puzzled. But he was already used to not asking anything. For example, why was it so coincidental that she went to the Flying Sand sect when they were in danger? She even brought Wen Yi back alone. Sister, what's the problem with that, Wen Yi? Mo Yuntian asked Tang Guo alone. He almost directly said that this guy would be a big shot in the future. Tang Guo didn't hide it. If the reincarnator didn't appear, he would indeed be a powerful figure in the cultivation world in the future. But after the reincarnator appeared, he first snatched his opportunity, killed his master, and now instigated a fight between two sects. He will die in this fight. Mo Yuntian's pupils suddenly shrank. This reincarnator wants to disturb the heavens and snatch everyone's opportunity. You can say that. This wasn't the first life. Wen Yi and Feng Filing had some conflicts and was hated by Feng Filing. In fact, it could be said that most of the talented people in this world had some disagreements with Feng Filing. She didn't know how Feng Filing was like at that time. Even if there was no conflict with her, she couldn't stand those people who relied on their cultivation talent to be high and mighty. She would think of ways to pull these people down from the altar and ruthlessly trample them on the ground. Wen Yi of the Flying Sand Gate was just the beginning. When Tang Guo thought of Wen Yi, she couldn't help but laugh. She already thought of doing something in this world to annoy Wen Yi. Host, my energy is increasing very quickly. Are you very happy? Yeah, I'm so happy. Tang Guo was grinning from ear to ear. She counted the number of geniuses in this world who had not yet grown up. There were nearly 20 of them. Feng Filing definitely wouldn't let these people go. Even if he didn't kill them, he would make them disappear into the crowd. If she could take all of these geniuses under her wing before they were destroyed, and all of them became her disciples, she would give them the best cultivation methods, the best resources, and allow their cultivation to soar, and they would become important figures in the cultivation world. Then wouldn't she have students all over the world? She wanted Feng Filing to understand that even though her reborn self had racked her brains to plunder the opportunities of these geniuses, the heavens would still give them even better opportunities. Not only would these geniuses not be destroyed, they would grow even more terrifying than before. Would Feng Filing live in fear all day long? That wasn't all. One day, Feng Filing would find out that these geniuses had all become her disciples. He would probably be angered to death. Host, it wasn't as simple as being angered to death. She would suspect that the heavens were targeting her. After the system heard Tang Guo's thoughts, it added. It gave a thumbs up to Tang Guo in its heart. Host was still as sarcastic as ever. Chapter 528. The reorganization of the Flying Sand branch went very smoothly. In the world of cultivation, it was very easy to subdue such a small faction. Violence and benefits were enough to make them obey. As for sincerity, it did not exist in the world of cultivation. As long as the Devil sect became stronger and stronger, everyone would understand the endless benefits of following the Devil sect, and they would not betray them. Wen Yi's days were also very comfortable. He was originally very talented, but the cultivation technique that belonged to him had long been snatched away by others, leaving him with nothing but talent. Now that he was under Tangua's tutelage and became her disciple, he received good cultivation techniques and countless resources, and his cultivation was improving day by day. Every time he came to see Tangua, he was especially obedient, and his face was full of gratitude. He was more respectful and cordial towards Tangua. He realized that the more respectful and cordial he was to Tangua, the less cold the man called Bai Wuqing looked at him. He was not a fool. This man was his master's admirer. Wen Yi, disciple, is here. Wen Yi cupped his hands and bowed respectfully, his black eyes shining brightly. Cultivate well. In the future, you will have many junior brothers and sisters. As the eldest senior brother, you have to take care of them. Wen Yi was stunned. What did he mean by having many junior brothers and sisters as his master in the future? But seeing that his master was only looking at the map and constantly drawing on it with a happy expression, he did not ask any more questions. Today was not easy, and he did not want to lose such a good master. He only nodded. Disciple will cultivate well, and take good care of my junior brothers and sisters in the future. He had to work hard, and not let his master worry. Bai Wuqing could not help but interrupt. If you have any problems with your sword skills, you can look for me. Tangua glanced at him. Bai Wuqing's expression was indifferent. Since I have nothing to do, Xiaoguo, you do your own thing. I am good at sword skills, and it will be good for Wen Yi. Then Wen Yi, you should listen to him. He is indeed good at sword skills. Tangua laughed softly. In the past, I begged him many times, but he did not agree to teach me personally. He always threw a sword manual to me and let me practice on my own. Bai Wuqing, Wen Yi, Xiaoguo, if you want to practice, you can do it anytime. Bai Wuqing said hurriedly. Wen Yi could tell that something was amiss from his cold face. There must be a story between Bai Wuqing and his master. I'm not interested in swordsmanship anymore. Tangua looked at the map and said with a light smile. Her voice was somewhat cold, and in Bai Wuqing's ears, it was as if she was saying, I'm not interested in you anymore. This caused him to be absent-minded and disappointed for a while. Wen Yi, you can just call him Elder Bai. He is Bai Wuqing from the Star Moon sect. Wen Yi was a little unsteady on her feet. Wasn't Bai Wuqing a legendary figure? That's right, I used to be his disciple, but not anymore. A year ago, my spiritual root was destroyed and I was expelled from the Star Moon sect. My enemies are called Feng Filing and Leng Yeling. Wen Yi, remember this clearly. Wen Yi could no longer maintain her composure. Bai Wuqing's disciple should be Tangua, the peerless genius he had heard of before. She was only 3 years older than him, and she had reached the golden core stage before she was 15. Now, she had become his master. His enemies were Feng Filing and Leng Yeling. Wasn't Leng Yeling the Devil sect's young sect leader? Don't think too much. I'm telling you this because I want you to know, so that you won't be cheated in the future. Go and practice well. Wen Yi nodded her head slowly. She still could not accept it. Her master's life was really exciting. They were both not even 20 years old, but why was her master 10,000 times more outstanding than her? Chapter 529. The Flying Sand sect has been occupied by the Devil sect. Feng Filing only received the news a day later. She frowned and looked at Leng Yeling. Brother Yeling, do you know about this? Her heart was heavy. There was a person in the Flying Sand sect, and she would not let him grow. She first planned to snatch Wen Yi's cultivation method and opportunity, then killed his master. Then, she found an opportunity to sow discord between the two sects. Logically speaking, the Flying Sand sect should have been destroyed, and Wen Yi should not be alive. Why would the Devil sect interfere? Leng Yeling shook his head, I don't know either. Actually, he had a guess in his heart. Could it be that Aunt Saintus did something? Lung Yeling suddenly realized that he, the devil sect's young sect master, actually knew nothing about his own sect. This made him feel very bad. After thinking for a while, he said, Ling I'm going back to the devil sect. I'll come find you later. That's good too. Brother Yeling, remember to check the situation with the devil sect. If this kind of action angers the major sects, it won't be good for your devil sect. Lung Yeling's heart warmed as he held Feng Feiling's hand. I knew Ling cared about me. Feng Feiling had a bright smile on her face, but in her heart, she was thinking about who to target next. She really wanted to know if those high and mighty geniuses could still grow after their opportunities were taken away. As for Lung Yeling, in her eyes, he was already in the bag. Just by saving his life once, it was enough to make Lung Yeling be dead set on her. There was no need for her to stick to him. She had already understood this man's cheap nature in her previous life. Back then, didn't Tang Guo help Lung Yeling avoid a crisis, which was why Lung Yeling was dead set on her? Therefore, she was not worried about Lung Yeling's departure at all. Now was the time for those geniuses to grow. She had to take away their opportunities first. She was very busy and did not have time to talk about love with this man. Lung Yeling returned to the devil sect with complicated feelings. Seeing that the devil sect had become a little better, he felt extremely complicated. With the devil sect's current development, he did not have the confidence to question Tang Guo. He could only find an opportunity to ask a disciple who knew about it. Young sect master is talking about the flying sand branch. This disciple knows. It is said that Saintus aunt took us past the flying sand branch that day and happened to see the two sects fighting fiercely. She couldn't bear to see them continue, so Saintus aunt said to bring them into the devil sect. Aunt Saintus said that we're all on the same side, so what's the point of fighting? Isn't this the best of both worlds? Lung Yeling looked at the way the disciples worshipped him and thought that he shouldn't have come back. Aunt Saintus also took in a disciple. The young master is very hardworking in his cultivation. Lung Yeling indicated that he no longer wanted to hear any news about Tang Guo. Since it was a coincidence, he was relieved. After wandering around the devil sect, he found that Tang Guo didn't want to do anything harmful to the devil sect. Lung Yeling let out a sigh of relief and turned to leave. One day, Tang Guo was drinking tea when Purple Cloud Spiritual Master and Kai Xiao Spiritual Master secretly came to the devil sect to look for her. She suddenly put down her teacup and said to them, "There's something I need to do. We'll take care of it first." "What's the matter?" Mo Yuntian asked in confusion. Purple Cloud Spiritual Master and Kai Xiao Spiritual Master also looked at each other. "Sister, are you in a hurry? Do you want us to go together?" Big Brother Purple Cloud and Big Brother Kai Xiao don't need to go. It's not a big matter. We'll be back soon. This time, it's closer. Bai Wuqing's heart skipped a beat. He felt that he had seen such a scene before. Sure enough, Tang Guo's next sentence confirmed his guess. "Big Brother Mo, let's go and attack the righteous sects." Chapter 530. When Mo Yuntian and the others followed Tang Guo to their destination, it was a scene of killing in a sect. Mo Yuntian could not help but tremble. The girl's timing was really perfect. This time, the sect was not a small one, but a medium-sized one. There were also all kinds of battles and competitions in sects. The Heavenly Fire sect had ended up killing each other because of the fight between two elders. When they were surrounded and tied up by the people of the Devil sect, they gradually woke up. Seeing the blood all over the ground and the deaths of many disciples, they were shocked. Seeing this, they could not help but look at the white-clothed woman wearing a light veil bamboo hat sitting above. The veil bamboo hat could cover one's divine sense, so they could not see her appearance clearly. However, everyone could feel that this woman was sizing them up with a casual attitude. "You're all awake." The woman's voice carried a hint of a smile. "Since you're all awake, I'll announce one thing. The Heavenly Fire sect will be under the control of the Devil sect from now on. It will be renamed the Devil sect's Heavenly Fire branch from today onwards. Don't even think about it." The elders of the Heavenly Fire sect did not even think about it and hurriedly retorted. They looked at Tang Guo angrily, as if they would not submit even if they were to die. Tang Guo was not angry. She only said, "If you don't agree, things like today will happen often. Didn't you notice that fighting over a jade slip turned into killing each other in the end?" These words made the elders of the Heavenly Fire sect look ugly. Indeed, they already felt that things were not simple. They suddenly raised their heads and stared at Tang Guo. "Isn't this a scheme of the Devil Sect? Do you think that if my Devil Sect wants to take over your territory, we would need to spend so much effort to send a few transcending tribulation stage cultivators to beat you into submission? Just like now, why should we stop you from killing each other? Wouldn't it be better to wait a little longer? Whether you agree or not, the Heavenly Fire Sect is already the territory of the Devil Sect." Tang Guo did not care about these elders' resentful looks and quickly arranged everything. The people of the Heavenly Fire Sect could not resist. They were all very sad and dejected. "That's enough. Don't look as if your mother has died. Being able to join my Devil Sect is the fortune of your previous life." Tang Guo searched in the hall and finally found a girl who was about 10 years old. Her face was sallow and she was emaciated. However, her eyes were bright. This time, her target was this little girl, Ji Yuqin. According to the original development, Ji Yuqin was not valued in the beginning. Later, she accidentally found an immortal cave in the back mountain of the sect and found a suitable cultivation method for her. Her cultivation speed was fast, and in a few years, she became a famous genius in the cultivation world. However, some time ago, Feng Filing quietly came to the Heavenly Fire Sect and took away the cultivation opportunity that Ji Yuqin should have obtained. Not only that, but he had also placed something else inside, causing Ji Yuqin to attract the attention of other people in the sect when she discovered the cave. There was only a jade slip left in the cave. In fact, it was a blank jade slip. However, because Feng Filing had many tricks up his sleeves, he had tampered with the jade slip, causing two elders to fight. His illusion spread throughout the entire sect. The people of the Heavenly Fire Sect lost their minds and began to kill each other. If she did not come, the Heavenly Fire Sect would be discovered in the end. The entire sect would be filled with all kinds of broken limbs, and their deaths would be quite miserable. She pinched the jade slip and released the restriction on it. She threw the jade slip to the two elders who were fighting. "This is what you are fighting for. Take a look." Chapter 531. When the two of them took a look, their faces turned pale. They stood there without saying anything. Not only was the jade slip empty, but they also found traces of an illusion on it. "Do you understand now? If you want to know who harmed you today, then join my Devil Sect with peace of mind. There will be opportunities for revenge in the future. Of course, it doesn't matter if you agree or not. My Devil Sect's elders will beat you until you're convinced." After Tang Guo finished speaking, she looked at the thin girl. Ji Yuqin also seemed to feel the Devil Sect saintess aren't looking at her. Tang Guo turned to Wen Yi and said, "Wen Yi, go and bring your second junior sister over." Wen Yi was paying attention to Tang Guo's movements. Although he couldn't see her face, she was facing a thin girl with a yellow face. He nodded and walked towards Ji Yuqin. Ji Yuqin saw Wen Yi in front of her and couldn't help but take a step back in fear. Wen Yi remembered that he used to love Ji Yuqin more. He stretched out his hand and smiled at her. "Come with me. Master wants to take you as a disciple." "You. Are you master or saintess aunt?" Ji Yuqin wasn't stupid. The woman wearing the veil bamboo had had the right to speak the whole time. She must be a very important person. Although she joined the Heavenly Fire Sect, her talent wasn't good. She joined the sect because one of her ancestors saved the Heavenly Fire Sect's elder and promised that if her family had talent for cultivation, they could join the Heavenly Fire Sect. Coincidentally, she was that person with a little talent. However, her talent was very poor. Among the 5 elements, she had the worst quality. "Yes." Wen Yi's voice was very low, as if he was afraid of scaring her. This was his junior sister, so he had to treat her well. "Come with me to see Master. She will take you as a disciple and make you stronger." Hearing that, Ji Yuqin's eyes lit up. She wanted to become stronger. After coming to the sect, She was often bullied. However, her talent was too poor, so she could only endure. Previously, she had found a cave with great difficulty, but it had led to such a fight. She put her small hand in Wen Yi's palm and followed him to Tangguo. Ji Yuqin. Ji Yuqin was stunned. The saintess aunt was really amazing. She actually knew the name of a nobody like her. Unconsciously, a trace of worship appeared in her eyes. Tangguo couldn't help but laugh as she ridiculed the system. These future geniuses are truly pitiful, to be reduced to such a state by Feng Filing. But geniuses are geniuses, and their brains are always smarter than ordinary people. If it were other children, seeing me, a person from the devil sect, they would have long been scared to the point of not daring to come up. Perhaps because I'm a member of the devil sect, I would rather die than obey. However, some geniuses with great luck were different. They knew how to seize any opportunity. They had more experience than others, and their minds were more mature than others. Do you want to come with me and take me as your master? Ji Yuqin swallowed her saliva and looked at Tangguo with her bright eyes. She asked, my talent is poor. Very poor. Does Aunt Saintess not mind such a disciple? If Aunt Saintess doesn't mind, Ji Yuqin will acknowledge you as her master. Without waiting for Tangguo to speak, Ji Yuqin knelt on the ground with a plop and kowtowed to Tangguo 3 times. Dong, 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 she was especially forceful. She raised her head and revealed a smile. Master. Junior apprentice sister Wen Yi was much more powerful than him. She was so fast. Was she afraid that her master would go back on her words? Tangguo was also amused. She quickly helped Ji Yuqin up and whispered, your talent isn't bad. In fact, it's very good. It's just that you haven't obtained a suitable cultivation technique. Come, follow me back and cultivate with your senior apprentice brother. Once you cultivate a suitable cultivation technique, you will understand how heaven-defying your talent is. Very good, another powerful opponent was nurtured for Feng Filing. Chapter 532. Ji Yuqin was the same as Wen Yi. After coming to the devil sect, she was shocked by the environment of the devil sect. It was really too beautiful. The mountains were limpid and the water was clear. The birds were chirping and the flowers were fragrant. Was this really the legendary devil sect? Before she could react, Tangguo gave her a suitable cultivation method. After she successfully cultivated it, the little girl had never experienced such a cultivation speed. She actually cultivated all day long. Wen Yi saw that his junior sister was working so hard. As the eldest senior brother, he could not fall behind. The two of them became the most hard-working people in the devil sect, and they led the cultivation of all the disciples in the devil sect. No matter what, they couldn't lose to 2 children. Feng Filing quickly found out that the Heavenly Fire sect had also been occupied by the devil sect and had been renamed the Heavenly Fire branch. Brother Yi Ling, what's going on with the devil sect? If she wasn't the one who caused the Heavenly Fire sect's incident, then the devil sect's occupation had nothing to do with her. This had already happened twice. Every time she made a move, the devil sect would be 1 step behind and take over. It was impossible for her not to be suspicious. The devil sect plans to expand their territory. What Leng Yiling said was right. Mo Yuntian had told him before that he wanted to expand the devil sect's territory. It must have been a coincidence that something happened to the Heavenly Fire sect, so he took the opportunity to take action. Seeing how certain Leng Yiling was, Feng Filing's suspicions lessened. Now that something had happened to the Heavenly Fire sect, even ordinary sects would not be able to remain indifferent when they saw such an opportunity, let alone the devil sect. They would definitely think of ways to occupy it. She frowned slightly. The only thing she was worried about was Ji Yuqin in the Heavenly Fire sect. She had snatched away Ji Yuqin's opportunity. She didn't know if this genius could still grow up. She had already destroyed the cultivation method of the 5 elements' spiritual roots. Leng Yiling saw that Feng Filing was deep in thought and was puzzled. Once or twice was fine, but he always felt that Feng Filing had a lot of secrets. However, he didn't delve into it. He also had his own secrets, and he didn't plan to tell Feng Filing. The devil sect was currently developing very well. Once he said that Tang Guo was in the Devil Sect. With Feng Feiling's temperament, he would definitely cause the Devil Sect to be restless. At that time, he would have let down his master. As long as Tang Guo didn't come out to cause trouble for Ling and didn't harm the Devil Sect, he wouldn't care about these things. Ever since he returned to the Devil Sect and met Tang Guo, his mind had become clearer and clearer. He had already thought about it. Feng Feiling had many suspicious points, but he didn't mind. Perhaps she had some difficulties. Ling are you trying to do something? Leng Yeling still asked. Feng Feiling was suddenly startled. She recalled that she had indeed revealed too much of her emotions recently. It was also because she was being targeted by the heavens that she was unable to restrain her temper. Brother Yi Ling, what are you thinking? What can I do? Feng Feiling didn't want Leng Yeling to be suspicious. At least before she grew to the point where no one could rival her, no one could know her secret. I'm just curious. I thought that the Devil Sect had some big movements. If these movements caused the righteous sects to attack, it wouldn't be good for you guys. Looking at Feng Feiling's eyes, it didn't seem like he was lying. Moreover, the sincerity revealed in his eyes made Leng Yeling forget his previous suspicions. He held him in his arms. If Ling wants to do something, you can ask me to help you. Brother Yi Ling, I've received news that a secret territory is about to open. Let's go together. All right. At the same time, Tang Guo smiled at Mo Yuntian. Bai Wuqing's fingers twitched. His gaze didn't move away from Tang Guo's face. He treated her smile as if it was directed at him. Let's go explore the secret territory. A secret territory is about to open. Chapter 533. The group of people from the Devil Sect followed Tang Guo to the secret realm. Everyone's face was brimming with excitement. This was because every time they went out, their Aunt Saintess would bring them to gain a lot. It wasn't an expansion of their territory, but they would obtain various cultivation resources. Now, every time they went out, they had to use their strength to fight for the quota. Those who failed were not qualified to go out with their Aunt Saintess. Mo Yuntian looked at the spirit of the Devil Sect disciples and couldn't help but sigh. Sister, it's really my Devil Sect's fortune that you're here. He knew that Tang Guo wouldn't stay in this world for long. On the surface, it seemed that she was only helping the Devil Sect expand its power, but in reality, she had a plan for everything. For example, when Yi and Jiyu Qin, who were accepted as disciples by her, both of them were extremely talented. Especially Jiyu Qin, he didn't expect that the 5-element spirit root was actually a kind of genius spirit root. Everyone here thought that the 5-element spirit root was a waste spirit root. Moreover, people with this kind of spirit root were less than 1 in 100,000. One day later, Tang Guo arrived at the location of the secret realm. In front of her was a turbulent river. When the secret realm opened, a golden whirlpool would appear in the river. That was the door to the secret realm. This secret realm also belonged to a lucky person. That person was schemed against by a good friend and jumped into the river with a narrow escape. He was washed here and just happened to fall into the whirlpool. After that, he obtained a heavenly treasure and contracted a divine beast. From then on, his strength increased greatly. After recovering, he went back to take revenge and became a legend. Countless people chased after him. This person's divine beast was a phoenix. Feng Feiling once saw this phoenix and wanted to touch it. However, how could a proud divine beast like the phoenix let a stranger touch it? It directly sent her flying with a claw. From then on, Feng Feiling bore a grudge against her. Knowing that the phoenix was obtained here, she took advantage of Luo Chen's serious injury to stab him to death and contracted the phoenix. She bore a grudge against the phoenix. When she contracted the phoenix, she tampered with the contract and changed the original peace contract to a master-servant contract. Later on, the phoenix lived in her torture every day. Madam Host, this female lead is a bit perverted. Fortunately, this character isn't in the modern world. Otherwise, she would have the character of a newspaper. Who knows, she might bomb a bus today, kill people at a bus station tomorrow, and the day after tomorrow, plant a bomb in a shopping mall. This is called a twisted mind. There's nothing wrong with taking revenge, but it's wrong to vent your anger on innocent people. The system hurriedly agreed. Although its Lord Host was a little mean, she still had a little bit of morals. No matter how perverted she was, she would never implicate the innocent. Just like that, the group of people stood by the river. Although the devil sect disciples were puzzled, since the saintess said to wait here, then they waited here. They did not suspect anything at all. No matter what floats in the river later, pick it up for me. The devil sect disciple quickly replied, yes. About an hour later, the sharp eyes of the demonic Tao sect disciples noticed something floating down from a place far away. All of them rubbed their fists and palms as they rushed forward like a swarm of bees. Luo Chen was plotted against by his good friend. In a moment of desperation, he jumped into the river to escape and was washed away by the current. With his current condition, he should have fainted a long time ago. It was only because of his unwillingness and desire to live that he was still holding on. Suddenly, he felt countless auras rush towards him aggressively and terrifyingly. This made him feel a sense of despair. Could it be that the heavens didn't give Luo Chen a way out? Was there no chance for him to take revenge? Chapter 534. Luo Chen thought he was dead for sure. Those people's auras were truly terrifying. It was as if they wanted to chop him with their blades. The first person to reach him grabbed him by the collar and quickly jumped out of the river. As he ran, he shouted, "Aunt Saintess, I got him. I got him." Luo Chen said, "Brother, are you sure you didn't get the wrong person? Is he a human?" "Aunt Saintess, I got him. Hey, it's a human." When the disciple put Luo Chen on the ground, he patted his head in annoyance. How could it be a human? Luo Chen already said you got the wrong person. The other disciples who didn't rush over all laughed. They thought they got something good, but they didn't expect it to be a human, and a man at that. If it was a beauty, they wouldn't have laughed. But if it was a man, they couldn't help but laugh. You didn't get the wrong person. I told you to get a human. Luo Chen opened his heavy eyelids and looked at the white-robed woman standing above him. She wore a white veil bamboo hat, so her face couldn't be seen. But her voice was very pleasant, as if it could ease the pain. "Young master, I see that you have an extraordinary physique and experience. Why don't you join my devil sect?" No one present had thought that Tang Guo would say such a thing to Luo Chen. Mo Yuntian's mouth was already twitching. Bai Wuqing's heart tightened, and he quickly sized up Luo Chen. Seeing that he was in a sorry state and had an ordinary appearance, he retracted his gaze. His appearance was ordinary, and his cultivation was ordinary. There was nothing outstanding about him that attracted Xiao Guo's attention. Xiao Guo definitely had another reason for wanting him to join the devil sect. Luo Chen was stunned. Was this girl talking to him? Feed him a healing pill. The devil sect disciples hurriedly took out healing pills and fed Luo Chen a few of them. Luo Chen quickly swallowed the pill. If he didn't swallow it, he would choke to death. These people's pills were worthless. Were experts supposed to heal the wounded and save the dying? Luo Chen recovered a bit and struggled to stand up. Only then did he see dozens of people around him. Mo Yuntian coughed. "I'm Mo Yuntian, the devil sect's sect leader." Luo Chen was shocked. Why was the sect leader of the devil sect here? "This is my younger sister, Aunt Holy Maiden of the devil sect, the new hope of the devil sect." Mo Yuntian thought that he had already lost all his face, so he might as well say it out loud. None of the people who could catch the eye of this girl were bad. They were all talents that needed to be roped into the devil sect. He couldn't just watch from the sidelines. No matter what you encounter, joining my devil sect is a good thing for you. In the future, if you want to take revenge, then take revenge. As long as you don't do anything that is detrimental to the devil sect, it's fine. Mo Yuntian believed in his foresight. The young man in front of him was not simple. His injuries were more serious than expected. If it had been an ordinary person, they would have died a long time ago. Luo Chen thought of his own experience. He was framed by his best friend, and the person he liked betrayed him without hesitation. As for the clan, they were even more afraid of offending the other party and didn't dare to do anything. It seemed that other than joining the devil sect, he really had no other choice. No matter what the devil sect's reputation was, at least his life was saved by these people in front of him. Okay, I'll join. My name is Luo Chen. I used to be a member of the Luo family, but from now on, I'm a member of the devil sect. Mo Yuntian was grinning from ear to ear. Good, it was good to join. If the devil sect continued like this, it would become stronger and stronger. Now that the devil sect didn't have to worry about resources, the more people they had, the better. At this moment, a golden whirlpool suddenly appeared on the river. Chapter 535. Luo Chen, jump inside. Tang Guo's voice was mysterious. I've calculated that there's an opportunity for you inside. Luo Chen was stunned. Shouldn't everyone be fighting for this opportunity? The devil sect disciple couldn't stand it and kicked him into the golden whirlpool. Was he a man? Mo Yuntian's disciples were a little rough. Tang Guo turned around and entered the forest. Bai Wuqing hurriedly followed behind her. Seeing that she was looking for something, he asked, Xiao Guo, what are you looking for? A pheasant. Are you hungry? No. Bai Wuqing really couldn't guess what Tang Guo was thinking. Hearing that she was looking for a pheasant, he hurriedly used his divine sense to search the surroundings. In the end, he couldn't find a pheasant. Instead, he saw a pigeon flying past. He leaped into the air and reached out to catch the pigeon. The pigeon seemed to be frightened and flapped its wings in his hand. It was hard to imagine how a cold man would look like catching a pigeon. Will a pigeon do? He even handed the pigeon to Tang Guo with a cold expression. Tang Guo looked at the pigeon. It'll do. It's a little smaller than a pheasant, but there are similarities. She caught the pigeon and returned to the riverside. After waiting for about 2 hours, half of Luo Chen's body appeared. Just as he was about to come out, he heard Tang Guo speak. Luo Chen, wait a moment. Luo Chen was stunned. Tang Guo leaped in front of him and handed him a pigeon. Put the pigeon there. Where? Luo Chen quickly reacted. Could it be that Aunt Saintess knew that he had formed a contract with a phoenix? He remembered that she said that there was an opportunity for him here. He had indeed been unimpeded and obtained many things. He replied, okay. He took the pigeon and placed it in the phoenix's nest. When he appeared at the riverside again, he saw Tang Guo and said in a low voice, Aunt Saintess, I let the phoenix pass a breath to the pigeon. It now has the phoenix's aura. I don't know if it's the right thing to do. Tang Guo almost clapped her hands and laughed. Amazing, Luo Chen's comprehension was really amazing. Well done. Luo Chen revealed a smile. He seemed to have guessed something. Could it be that someone else would come here? This golden vortex will disappear one day. If it wasn't for the fact that he had taken the healing pill earlier, he would definitely have stayed inside for half a day. That's enough. Let's go. Tang Guo didn't want to meet Feng Filing for the time being. Feng Filing should be here in a while. At that time, the surprise she prepared would be meaningless. Mo Yuntian and the others didn't understand why every time Tang Guo found something, she would quickly take it and leave. However, they didn't ask any questions and simply turned to leave. After Luo Chen returned to the devil sect, he was also stunned by everything in front of him. He knew that the people of the devil sect knew how to cultivate spirit plants. Without even thinking about it, he took out some of the rare spirit herbs he had obtained inside and gave them to Mo Yuntian. Mo Yuntian patted Luo Chen's shoulder. You brat, you're aware. Don't worry, there will only be more and more spirit herbs. It's a good thing that sister took a fancy to you. Otherwise, you might have lost your life. These words made Luo Chen's heart tighten. Tang Guo's actions meant that there would still be people going to that place. Who knows, at that time, someone might try to kill him. Wouldn't he lose his life then? Sect Master, Aunt Saintess knows how to divine. Don't ask too much about this. You just need to understand that in the devil sect, listening to her is the right thing to do. Mo Yuntian couldn't explain it clearly and didn't want to explain too much to Luo Chen. It was enough for everyone in the group to know the sister's secret. Got it. Chapter 536. Feng Filing and Leng Yeling hurriedly rushed to the river with the golden whirlpool. Seeing that the whirlpool had yet to disappear, they jumped in without thinking. In her previous life, she heard that Luo Chen obtained an opportunity here. That hateful phoenix was also contracted here. As for the specific situation, she didn't know. However, the golden whirlpool had yet to disappear. Did that mean that the thing inside might still be there? It also took some time to rush over. She almost missed this place before. If she had thought of it earlier, she would have waited here from the beginning. As they entered, Feng Filing's expression didn't look too good. It could be seen that someone had already been here. Leng Yeling didn't expect that there really was a secret realm here. He was getting more and more puzzled by Feng Filing. She seemed to know a lot, but every time, someone seemed to have taken the initiative. Leng Yeling didn't suspect anything. He only felt that Feng Filing's luck wasn't very good. Feng Filing still found the phoenix nest. She couldn't help but feel happy. She felt that there was still a rich phoenix aura here. She quickly broke the formation. There was indeed a phoenix in the nest. It was especially small and white in color. Feng Filing frowned. Why did it look like a pigeon? However, there was indeed a rich phoenix aura on its body. She stepped forward and grabbed the pigeon. A cold light flashed through her eyes. In her previous life, it was this hateful beast that made her lose face. Just when she wanted to contract the pigeon, she suddenly realized that it was just an ordinary pigeon. Damn it! Feng Filing couldn't help but throw the pigeon to the side. Why is it a pigeon? The pigeon was so scared that it immediately flew away. When Feng Filing reacted, it had already flown to God knows where. Who was it that took the initiative and even left a pigeon inside? Feng Filing hated the person who took the initiative. She came here for nothing again. Now, she believed that the heavens must be targeting her. Otherwise, why would she fail in everything she did this year? Everything didn't go smoothly. She always felt that there was a pair of hands messing around. She couldn't wait any longer. If she didn't snatch away all the opportunities of those geniuses, she wouldn't be satisfied. This time, she didn't know if someone else took the initiative or if Luo Chen himself had already been here. As for that pigeon, no matter who put it there, its purpose was definitely to confuse the people who came later. Ling since this place is already occupied, let's go somewhere else. Feng Filing remembered that Leng Yeling was still by his side, and his expression softened. I wonder who it is that came so quickly. Brother Yi Ling, I still have a lot of information. Let's go somewhere else. Feng Filing was no longer calm. She wouldn't allow those geniuses who offended her to grow up. In any case, Leng Yeling was also a demon with decent strength. It would be a waste not to use him. Next, it was time for Leng Yeling to show his worth. She knew Leng Yeling's character too well. He was an extremely protective person. Once he had set his mind on someone, no matter what, that person would be very pleasing to the eye. If anyone bullied her, Leng Yeling would definitely kill them regardless of the consequences. Originally, she wanted to plan slowly, but now it seemed that it was impossible. Oh right, Brother Yi Ling, my master suddenly asked about Elder Bai. He hasn't been in the sect for a long time. Do you know anything about Elder Bai? Actually, she wanted to know about Bai Wuqing. She also suddenly thought of Bai Wuqing. She also hated Bai Wuqing to the extreme. But now, she couldn't afford to offend Bai Wuqing. When she grew to a certain extent, she would repay him for what she had suffered. She would make Bai Wuqing suffer so much that he would wish he was dead. I don't know. Leng Yeling subconsciously lied. If people knew that Bai Wuqing was in the devil sect, it would be terrible. More importantly, he didn't want Feng Filing to pay too much attention to Bai Wuqing. Chapter 537. In the following time, Feng Filing brought Leng Yeling to various places. On the surface, it was to gain experience and look for opportunities. In fact, wherever Feng Filing went, there would always be conflicts with people. Those who clashed with her would not have a good ending. Leng Yeling couldn't bear to see people bully Feng Filing, so he didn't hold back. Although he didn't kill them, he almost crippled them. Feng Filing couldn't help but laugh wildly in her heart when she saw the former geniuses being crippled by Leng Yeling one by one. Geniuses, former geniuses, didn't they know that they liked the gift she gave them? She knew that some geniuses were arrogant and looked down on others. As long as she provoked them a little, they could start a conflict. She had lived 2 lives, so she could make good use of this point. In the end, she crippled those people and left them with their lives. In everyone's eyes, they should be grateful to her. Leng Yeling didn't feel anything about this. Wasn't the cultivation world like this? Don't look for trouble, trouble will come. Ling was so beautiful, so it was normal for many people to dislike her. Fortunately, he was protecting her. Otherwise, who knew how many people would want to bully Ling? He said that he wouldn't let Ling be bullied. Feng Filing saw that Leng Yeling was treating her better and better, and she was slightly relieved. Leng Yeling was the Devil Sect's young sect master. In fact, this person was not easy to control. She had to become Leng Yeling's flesh and blood in order to make him work for her willingly. Her cultivation would stagnate for more than a year before there would be any progress. If it wasn't for the fact that many opportunities were snatched away, she might have been able to resume her cultivation long ago. Speaking of which, it wasn't worth it to let her cultivation stagnate for 3 years just to scheme against a Tanguo. Thinking of Tanguo, Feng Filing's heart sank again. She didn't know where this person went. She secretly searched for a long time, but she couldn't find her. Could it be that she died just like that? That would be too easy for the other party. The disciples of the Devil Sect were quite excited these days. It should be said that ever since Aunt Saintus came to the Devil Sect, they were in a state of excitement every day. The only thing that puzzled them was that Aunt Saintus was a little strange recently. She always liked to go out and pick up some disabled people and take them in as disciples. Wen Yi and Jiu Qin were in charge of taking care of their disabled junior brothers and sisters every day. In the past half a year, Master would always bring people out, and when he returned, he would throw 2 people to them. If they didn't have broken arms or legs, their cultivation base would be crippled, their meridians would be crippled, and their spiritual roots would be crippled. At the same time, he added, "These are your 3rd junior brother, 4th junior sister, 5th junior brother, and 6th junior brother." At first, the 2 of them were stunned, but now, they were numb. They didn't understand why their master liked to take in disabled people as his disciples. Maybe it's a fetish. Later on, they realized that these disabled people were gradually recovering. They could even cultivate, and their cultivation speed was not inferior to theirs. Finally, they felt a sense of crisis. Occasionally, when they chatted, they realized that these junior brothers and sisters were originally quite talented in cultivation. Because they had a conflict with someone and were crippled, no matter how talented they were or how good their cultivation was, once they became trash, the power they belonged to would no longer pay attention to them. And these geniuses were somewhat arrogant. They had offended countless people in the past. Seeing that they were in dire straits, everyone naturally wanted to help them hit them when they were down, tormenting them as much as they could. Sects and families wouldn't care about useless trash. When these geniuses were in dire straits, they saw everything clearly. They wanted to say that it was too late, but they didn't expect that a woman wearing a veil and bamboo hat would appear and take them away. In desperation, this was their only hope. No one disagreed. Chapter 538. Sister, was it all done by Feng Filing? Only Mo Yuntian understood that these people might be related to Feng Filing, but he was still shocked that so many geniuses died in Feng Filing's hands. This Feng Filing was even more ruthless than demonic cultivators. Tanguo looked up and smiled faintly. Big brother Mo, Feng Filing wasn't the only one involved in this. Leng Yeling was also involved. Leng Yeling was the one who schemed against Feng Filing in the end. Mo Yuntian's heart shook, and his face was a little angry. That bastard, after thinking about it, he still couldn't hold back his anger. I'll go find him. Big brother Mo, he's already obsessed with Feng Filing. If you find him, it will only deepen the conflict. Even worse, Tanguo paused and continued, Feng Filing will hate you, and the one who will be schemed against will be you. Don't think that she won't do it. You were already hated by Feng Filing because of Leng Yeling, and in the end, you were schemed to death by her. This. Mo Yuntian was stunned for a while, and only recovered after a long time. Is this true? Of course it's true. Mo Yuntian swallowed his saliva, and was a little nervous and worried. Sister, isn't it a little bad for you to casually reveal heaven's secrets like this? Will you suffer heaven's punishment? It wasn't that Mo Yuntian was afraid of trouble, but those who could pry into heaven's secrets would always suffer a backlash if they revealed too much. Many people couldn't even pass the heavenly tribulation and died under the lightning tribulation. Otherwise, a disaster would suddenly appear and they would die. In short, those who revealed heaven's secrets didn't have a good ending. Don't worry, even if this world is destroyed, I won't die. Tang Guo laughed softly. It seems like I'm not bound by heaven's secrets. In the past, when she didn't understand, she was still more careful. But ever since she let go of herself, she realized that the heavens seemed to be blind and didn't care about her at all, treating her as an invisible person. So many times, she was suspicious of her origin, and why she kept traveling through these small worlds. If someone wanted to harm her, she really wasn't bound by any restrictions, and she could do whatever she wanted. Even if this world was destroyed, the most serious thing was to continue to the next world, and there was no punishment at all. Thinking about this, she couldn't help but communicate with the system. Tongzi, you've leveled up so much, did you remember anything? I'm sorry, Madam Host, I still remember so much, and there's nothing left. The system was rather regretful. Dear Host, perhaps there will be more opportunities to learn these secrets in the future. Didn't we encounter a fake system before? Moreover, I came out of the Space Administration. Perhaps there is another genuine system. If we encounter one day, we can capture the genuine system and ask it. Good idea. Tang Guo was still interested in the Space Control Department, but she could not find any trace of it. If he really encountered a genuine system, he could indeed capture it and ask it. Dear Host, how are you going to deal with Bai Wuqing? From the looks of it, he's going to rely on you. He had never thought that such a cold and indifferent person like Bai Wuqing would stay by his host's side without saying a word. This was a bit of a violation of his character setting. Bai Wuqing regretted his actions that day. So what? Tang Guo smiled and whispered, he gave it up himself. Okay. The host was indeed cold and heartless. She held grudges and always had her own set of principles. Once we've settled the matters here, we'll leave this world, Tang Guo said. As for Bai Wuqing, let him regret it. Sigh, the system sighed. Chapter 539. Tang Guo looked at the group of little radishes in front of her. It was hard to imagine that these people would become strong enough to deter all forces in 10 years or so. Except for Wen Yi and Ji Yuqin, the others were picked up by her from the corners of various forces when she went out. When she picked them up, basically everyone was in a very sorry state. Their eyes were dull, and their original high spirits had long been gone. But these geniuses in front of her were full of spirit, and there was less arrogance in their eyes, and more stability. Every little face looked at her with a very serious expression. It was only after they came to the Devil sect that they knew Tang Guo's identity. Tang Guo was once a genius disciple of the Star Moon sect, but her spiritual root was also destroyed and she was expelled from the sect. At first, they were a little uncomfortable, but because of the similar experience, they were infinitely close to Tang Guo. Although she was only 18 years old, not much older than them, they were still very willing to call her master. They also respected and admired her from the bottom of their hearts. She saved herself, and they were saved by others. Speaking of which, their master was more powerful than them. You all seem to be in a good mood. Tang Guo smiled. That's very good. Next, I will give you tasks. I hope you can complete them perfectly. Ji Yuqin was a very lively little girl, and her eyes were shining. Master, can we go out now? Since they came to the Devil sect, they were not allowed to go out. Yes, you can go out. Tang Guo nodded and waved her hand. A pile of white clothes and white veils appeared on the ground. But to go out, you have to wear the same clothes and wear the veils. No one is allowed to see your appearance. You can do anything, but you are not allowed to reveal your face and identity. No problem, Master. Ji Yuqin ran excitedly to the pile of veils, and her face was full of joy. This disciple thought it was a big deal. It turns out to be to wear the same beautiful dress as master and wear the same mysterious veils. This disciple really wishes for it. The others hurriedly nodded. When they first met their master, they were attracted by her mysteriousness. They always felt that her origin was extraordinary and she was powerful in every way. Now that they could wear the same clothes, they were very happy. If it was in the past, they would indeed disdain to dress up in the same way as others. However, it was different now. These were all given to them by their master. Even this veiled bamboo hat was not something ordinary people could obtain. It could conceal one's divine sense. Even people much stronger than them would not be able to see their true faces. As for these white clothes and dresses, they were all magical treasures. They were waterproof, fireproof, and attack-resistant. You all have good talent, so you can't always stay in the sect and live a comfortable life. Otherwise, you'll get used to living a good life and develop a lazy personality. The little radish heads quickly shook their heads. No matter how good the days were, they would not stop cultivating. Surviving in the world of cultivation, if one did not have enough strength, one's fate would be miserable. They had already experienced it. They didn't want to experience that kind of dark and gloomy time again. Their dignity had been trampled on by many people in the past, and they had learned their lesson. Even if you don't enjoy leisure and hate work, and haven't experienced life and death crises, you still won't be able to grow. This time, they somewhat agreed. Life in the sect was indeed more comfortable. So, next, you all need to go out and gain experience. This is good for cultivation. Tangwa took out many jade slips. Here are the plans I made for each of you. I've selected the skills and methods you're good at. When you meet my requirements, you can come back. All the little radish heads' expressions changed greatly. Their master was going to chase them away. No, she was going to let them gain experience. They stared at the pile of jade slips and rubbed their fists. They looked at each other, full of competition. Chapter 540. Xiao Guo, don't worry about them leaving. Bai Wuqing originally thought that he understood her a little, but later found that he didn't understand her at all. He thought that she saved those people because she cherished talent. She left them in the devil sect because she wanted to protect them as they grew. But it seemed that he was wrong. Those children were only 13 or 14 years old, and the youngest was only 7 years old. She was also not worried about letting them leave. They still have to grow. I've already taught them the basic survival skills. If they can be killed like this, then it's because they don't have the ability. If they really die, as their master, I will take revenge for them. That was also their fate. She couldn't always protect them by their side and let them grow. She always gave them a chance. If they took it, then they were smart. If they couldn't, then they couldn't help. She didn't have any special feelings for them. At most, she saved them because of Feng Filing. She used them to anger Feng Filing, and she saved them and gave them a chance to be reborn. This was their reward. She didn't need anything in return. Her only request was that they didn't betray her. Xiao Guo, what are you trying to do? This time, Bai Wuqing asked in a serious tone. He could feel that everything she did was done with a purpose. Who was this purpose aimed at? He also had a premonition that she would disappear once she finished everything. He didn't ignore this inexplicable feeling. Instead, he was terrified by it. He thought that they had a long life, and he had enough time to understand her, get close to her, and move her. Only then did he realize that he might never be able to understand which one was the real her. Every time he thought he understood enough, he would discover that there was another side to her. He got close to her, and succeeded. But she didn't seem to care. She didn't care about him getting close to her, and she didn't care about the feelings he revealed. This made him feel very helpless. He thought that he could use time to move her, but it had already been over a year. He was even more certain that her heart was as hard as iron. He didn't know if he could move her. The indifferent gaze she sometimes revealed was really frighteningly cold. It was like 10,000-year-old ice that couldn't be melted no matter how hard he tried. She always smiled at people. Or rather, It was called hiding a knife behind a smile. She didn't care at all what methods she used, as long as she could achieve her goal. She wasn't afraid of other people's gazes. She could do whatever she wanted. The more he understood this, the more he felt that the Xiao Guo of the past was bound in a small shell, unable to move at all. Now that she had broken out of her shell and gained her freedom, she no longer restrained herself. And the shell of the past was him. Elder Bai, are you curious about what I'm doing? Tang Guo sneered. She walked in front of him and stared at him with that exquisite and perfect face of hers. Her face was so close to his that it was like a blooming flower, causing Bai Wuqing to feel a little dizzy. Of course I'm doing it for revenge. Revenge Feng Filing. Bai Wuqing quickly recalled that only Feng Filing had a grudge against Tang Guo. Tang Guo laughed softly. Yeah. Whatever she wants, I will destroy. As long as it is related to her, I will do the opposite of what she wants. She raised her head again and stared at the cold man in front of her. Her lips curved slightly. Are you surprised? I'm like this. I'm full of schemes. I'm not a simple person. In order to achieve my goals, I didn't hesitate to meticulously plan so many things and use so many people. A person like me is indeed not Elder Bai's type. The one you should like is someone pure and untainted like a lotus. Chapter 541. Elder Bai, do you have any other questions? If not, then there's no need for Elder Bai to stay in the devil sect. To be honest, there's someone who's always watching me devise such a shocking plan that I feel uneasy about. Bai Wuqing was speechless and asked, aren't you afraid that I'll tell Feng Filing about your plan? Elder Bai, you can try. Tang Guo had a smile on her face as she stared at Bai Wuqing, causing him to feel a chill down his spine. He suddenly felt that he shouldn't have said those words. Although she was smiling, if he really did it, he would definitely be consigned to eternal damnation. I don't want to tell her. Bai Wuqing hurriedly explained. His face was still as cold as ever, but there was a hint of urgency in his eyes. Xiao Guo, I won't tell your secret to anyone else. What a mess. The system silently sighed in the corner. This Bai Wuqing's image had completely collapsed. It shook its head. This was also time traveling. Comparing its host to this mysterious person, it was clear that time traveling with memories and time traveling without memories was a huge difference. Without memories, who knew what would happen in the next life? Whether it was a human or a dog, good or bad, it was completely out of control. Tang Guo glanced at Bai Wuqing and giggled. Elder Bai, I've never seen you so anxious before. I can see fear and panic in your eyes. She stepped forward and stared into Bai Wuqing's eyes. What are you afraid of? What are you panicking about? Naturally, I'm afraid that you'll be angry. Bai Wuqing helplessly thought. I'm afraid that she'll be angry and turn to leave. I'm afraid that she'll treat me coldly and refuse to even look at me. He realized that he would never be able to fully understand her, so he didn't even dare to test her bottom line. He was afraid that he would make a mistake and cross the line, which would make her feel disgusted. Bai Wuqing sighed in his heart. Thinking of his previous decision, he said, I plan to return to the Star Moon sect. Elder Bai, you finally remember that you're a righteous person. Bai Wuqing's eyes flashed with a hint of helplessness and love. I'll come find you again after a while. You're still coming? Tang Guo was surprised. If when Zichou finds out, I'm afraid Elder Bai won't want to work in Star Moon sect anymore. Bai Wuqing thought to himself. Even if he didn't want to do it, staying in the devil sect wouldn't be a problem. He was afraid that she wouldn't accept it and would chase him away. To him, the Star Moon sect was not a very important place. That place had already become Wen Zichou's sole authority. When he returned, he only wanted to figure out one thing. He wanted to find out the truth of that day and prove her innocence. Based on his understanding of her during this period of time, it was impossible for her to steal the sect's treasure. As for framing Feng Filing and wanting to destroy Feng Filing's spirit root, he believed that if she really made a move, even 100 Feng Filing wouldn't be able to outsmart her. Bai Wuqing bid farewell to Mo Yuntian, saying that he was only leaving temporarily and would return. Mo Yuntian was so shocked that he did not know what to say. Why did this righteous elder keep coming to their devil sect? He couldn't help but complain in the group, that Bai Wuqing, Ziyun, and Kai Xiao, you guys know them, right? I do. What's the matter? Don't tell me they're still in the devil sect. Wrong. They've already left. They just said goodbye to me. But what did he say? Do you guys know? He actually said that he was only leaving temporarily and would return. Mo Yuntian didn't have the strength to complain. He's always pestering our school's bell. I didn't expect Bai Wuqing to be like this. Bai Wuqing, shameless. Chapter 542. The three of them brought out Bai Wuqing and talked about him before they were satisfied. The other people in the group silently paid attention. They were especially envious of the three of them meeting the school bell. Emmanuel, I hope that the school bell can come to our interstellar world once in my lifetime. I want to meet the school bell. General Billy, I might have a wish. Let the school bell come to our interstellar world once. Other than the food that we eat isn't that good, it's actually not bad. We have all kinds of high tech that you can't find anywhere else. Margaret, I also want the school bell to come to our magical world. I will bring her to see the most beautiful magic in our magical world, as well as the mysterious curses. Harold, I hope the school bell can witness the moment when I condense my godhead. This will definitely be the best gift for me. Alan, Skinny Harold is daydreaming again. Should I throw a pillow at you? Harold, the most hateful person in the magical world is Alan. There's no other one. I hope the school bell doesn't care about Alan. He's tall, big, and ugly. He's like a ferocious beast. He almost secretes disgusting saliva. Alan, at least he's better than some skinny chicken who can lift a finger. He's as small as an ant and has a smelly mouth. I can crush him with a fist. Wanderer Silvering, although I also want to meet the school bell, when I think about the environment here, it's better if the school bell doesn't come. We want to go out. Misty Fairy, yeah, I want to meet the school bell. But the place we live in isn't suitable for the school bell to be a guest. I'll just think about it. Tang Guo had been paying attention to the situation in the group. Wanderer Silvering and Misty Fairy rarely appeared in the group. It seemed to have something to do with the environment they lived in. This time, she was curious and couldn't help but ask, what kind of environment are you living in? Is it very dangerous? It's not dangerous, but there's no way to get out. With Silvering and my strength, we have no problem protecting ourselves. Our lives are still good, and it's not a dangerous place. It's just that staying in this place for too long can't help but make people feel disheartened. We all guessed that if we want to leave this place, we'll probably have to transcend the tribulation and ascend. Fairy Piao Miao said. The two of us have been here for a very long time. We've seen many newcomers come in. At first, they were full of excitement, but later, they became dispirited and despondent. In the end, if they didn't die of old age here, then they accepted their fate and stayed in one of the planes to survive. Upon hearing this, Tangwa became even more curious. Then what kind of world do you live in? It's quite interesting. School beauty, I advise you not to be curious, Misty Fairy continued. Alright, since you're so curious, I'll tell you what kind of world this is. After all, there are many things that can't be predicted. I wonder if the campus bell has heard of the Rubik's Cube? I have. Fairy Piao Miao continued, this is a Rubik's Cube world. It's a space formed by 6 small planes. It rotates once a month. Unless they were willing to accept their fate and stay in a certain plane, they would not be teleported to the next plane. Otherwise, they would have to keep rotating and repeatedly survive in the 6 planes. Every rotation is very dangerous. Most ordinary people who fall into the Rubik's Cube world will choose to stay in a certain plane. Staying in a certain plane means that they will never be able to leave the Rubik's Cube world. And those who were unwilling to stay were those who wanted to leave. Chapter 543. Although I don't know the consequences of staying here, I feel that something is wrong. Silver Ring and I are both cultivators, so we have no problem protecting ourselves. There's no need to stay in one place. That's why we rarely show our faces in the group, because all kinds of strange and dangerous things can happen at any time. Rubik's Cube world Tanguer had transmigrated to many small worlds, but this was the first time she heard of a Rubik's Cube world that rotated once a month. She was indeed curious. Then how is your cultivation? Are you sure you can escape from the Rubik's Cube world after ascending? Wanderer Silver Ring said, I'm at the late stage of crossing tribulation, and my cultivation hasn't improved for a long time. Mistress Fairy is the same. We all suspect that the Rubik's Cube world is suppressing our cultivation and shielding us from the heavens. Maybe we can't pass the tribulation, and we're looking for the reason now. Because of this, although they were curious about Tanguer and wanted to see her, they didn't want her to transmigrate to the Rubik's Cube world. This place was too strange. Tanguer still wanted to ask something, but Wanderer Silver Ring and Fairy Piao Miao only left a sentence, 1 month is up. Then, the two disappeared together without saying another word. The group quieted down, and Tanguer also left the group. The Rubik's Cube world left some impression on her. Bai Wuqing hurriedly returned to the Star Moon sect and quietly investigated. He originally wanted to find out the truth and prove Tanguer's innocence. Maybe she didn't need it, and it was too late for him to do this, but he still wanted to do it. He didn't expect that he would find out many things that he didn't know before. This started after Feng Filing entered the sect. Tanguer was his first disciple, and Feng Filing entered the sect a year later than Tanguer. In the year before Feng Filing entered the sect, Xiaoguo didn't have any thoughts about him. She wasn't a troublemaker, and as his disciple, she was well behaved and never did anything that exceeded the relationship between master and disciple. Everyone's impression of her in the sect was that she was quiet, neither arrogant nor rash, had good talent, and was hardworking. She was a person worth learning from. After Feng Filing entered the sect, Tanguer's reputation gradually worsened. If they spoke too much, they would deliberately approach him and curry favor with him. Thus, they would continue to work hard in their cultivation. However, everyone's impression of her was that she was scheming, calculative, and had a bad heart. She was not a righteous person and was rather arrogant, looking down on talented disciples. With this comparison, Bai Wuqing could see some suspicious points. After much investigation, he finally found a female disciple who was close to Tanguer and often came to see Tanguer. When the female disciple was suddenly summoned by Bai Wuqing, she was extremely frightened. Trembling, she walked over to Bai Wuqing, her head lowered, not daring to look at him. She cupped her hands and bowed, "Disciple greets Elder Bai. May I know why Elder Bai has summoned disciple here?" She was afraid that some of the things she had done before would be exposed. Now that Tanguer had disappeared, there was nothing to be afraid of. However, she was afraid that Bai Wuqing would suddenly realize that something was amiss. "You should know why this elder has summoned you here. To be able to accurately find you, how could the things you have done be hidden from this elder?" That one sentence caused the female disciple's face to turn pale and she knelt on the ground. "Elder Bai, please spare me." Disciple was told to do those things by someone. Disciple was only possessed for a moment. That person gave Disciple very good conditions, and Disciple's mind was bewitched. Bai Wuqing's expression sank. "Tell me everything in detail. Don't leave out anything." Chapter 544. It was Feng Filing who gave me some benefits and told me to tell Tanguer that Elder Bai likes cute and playful little girls. Feng Filing also told me to give Tanguer an idea. He said that if she wanted to attract Elder Bai's attention, she would have to appear in front of Elder Bai frequently and appeal to Elder Bai's preferences. If this continued, even if Elder Bai's heart was as hard as steel, it would still melt. Feng Filing also told me to spread rumors about Tanguer, and it wasn't anything good. Actually, other than paying attention to Elder Bai, Tanguer was basically cultivating and didn't have any contact with the other disciples of the sect. Bai Wuqing left the Star Moon sect, and the words of that female disciple echoed in his mind. So, all of this was because Xiaoguo liked him, so she changed her nature and appealed to his preferences. The strange thing about this matter was that he didn't like cute and playful little girls, and even more so, he didn't like people who deliberately tried to get close to him. Feng Filing obviously knew that he didn't like Xiao Guo, so he specifically told people to induce Xiao Guo and make him hate Xiao Guo. He didn't quite understand what Feng Filing's goal was. Was it just to make him hate Xiao Guo? What kind of hatred did she have with Xiao Guo? On that day, Xiao Guo had indeed gone in personally to steal the sect's most valuable treasure. He had watched the video and found something fishy. Xiao Guo's expression was a bit sluggish at that time, and her actions didn't seem like a normal person's, as if she was being controlled by someone. Although there was no evidence, it was enough to prove that something must have temporarily controlled Xiao Guo's mind. Thinking back to when her spirit root was crippled, she dragged her body full of injuries and left, saying that she wanted to take back his love. Bai Wuqing felt a bit disappointed and regretful. When he returned to the Devil Sect, he anxiously strode forward, eager to see her. Seeing her squatting in the spiritual plant garden and quietly fiddling with the spiritual plants, he unconsciously lightened his footsteps. Elder Bai is back so soon? She didn't raise her head and buried the spiritual plants in the ground with her white fingers. Her tone was a bit sarcastic, as if she was mocking him, a righteous cultivator, for always running to the Devil Sect. Elder Bai is distracted. Tang Guo wiped her hands and raised her head, only to see Bai Wuqing looking at her with a complicated expression. She did not mind and walked to the side to sit down and drink tea. What are you thinking about? Bai Wuqing chose to sit on the other side. He pondered for a moment, preparing to say something. However, he realized that no matter what he said, it would be useless. Xiao Guo. En. Bai Wuqing felt extremely powerless. Feng Filing had people inform Xiao Guo of his preferences, causing him to feel disgusted. As a matter of fact, Xiao Guo was not an annoying person to begin with. He had once felt a little impatient with her, but in reality, it was not that he did not want to admit that he had feelings for such a scheming person, so he chose to escape. Xiao Guo, I don't like people who are full of schemes. If this person is you, I can't help but like you. Bai Wuqing finally expressed his feelings. I don't know if we can start over again. Tang Guo smiled. Elder Bai also likes to daydream. Do you want me to pass you a pillow? Elder Bai, look at the spiritual plants in the garden. Tang Guo pointed at the lush green. All kinds of rare spiritual herbs can be found here. It can be said that in the entire cultivation world, the Devil Sect's spiritual plant garden must have the most variety. Bai Wuqing did not understand, not understanding what Tang Guo was trying to say. Elder Bai, look around the spiritual plant garden. There is a type of regret spiritual medicine inside. Meeting Tang Guo's half-smiling gaze, Bai Wuqing's lips twitched. His eyes dimmed and there was a hint of bitterness in his mouth. There isn't. Then that's it. Elder Bai, I have all kinds of medicine here, but I don't have any regret medicine. Chapter 545. Does Elder Bai have anything else to say? Nothing. Tang Guo stood up and walked out. I won't keep you company. Bai Wuqing hurriedly stood up and followed behind her. With every step she took, he followed. When she stopped, he stopped as well. The distance between them was neither too close nor too far. Tang Guo turned around and looked at the cold man. She smiled. Elder Bai, why are you following me? Don't tell me you also want to pester me and won't give up until you succeed. No. Bai Wuqing said innocently. Xiao Guo, I didn't want to disturb you and didn't intend to keep following you. But I don't know what's wrong with my legs, but I can't control them. I can't help but follow behind you. Tang Guo almost laughed out loud. This excuse was too funny. Bai Wuqing was such a calm and collected person. She didn't expect him to be so thick-skinned. Fine. I can't blame Elder Bai for not being able to control his legs. Tang Guo shook her head and turned to leave. Bai Wuqing didn't hesitate at all and hurriedly followed. When Tang Guo returned to her room, he stood guard at the door. When he heard someone coming out, he quickly distanced himself. His expression was as if he couldn't control his legs. It was enough to make people laugh to death. Host, I didn't expect Bai Wuqing to be like this. Bai Wuqing is so thick-skinned. This was the first time this knowledgeable system had seen something like this. He secretly observed Tang Guo and found that she didn't hesitate or change her mind. He silently lit a candle for Bai Wuqing. After that, the entire Devil's sect realized something. No matter where the Saintess Aunt went, as long as she left her room, Bai Wuqing would follow her from a distance. He didn't do anything else. He just followed and looked at their Saintess Aunt with a pair of affectionate eyes. But the Saintess Aunt didn't care at all. At first, they all hated Bai Wuqing. But later, they felt that Bai Wuqing was a little pitiful. Even if he was infatuated, he still couldn't obtain the Saintess Aunt's pity. Just like that, Tang Guo led the Devil sect to develop, quietly strengthening the Devil sect. Unknowingly, the Devil sect had already included many small sects and medium-sized sects in their sphere of influence. In the beginning, they would rename those sects as Devil sect branches. Later on, they would not change their names. They would only send 2 Devil sect experts to those sects to intimidate them. This also led to many sects not knowing that the Devil sect had expanded to an unimaginable extent. Everyone in the Devil's doctrine knew that the Saintess had a special hobby of taking in disabled people as her disciples. Up until now, the Saintess Aunt had about 20 disciples. At first, they were all disabled people, but later on, they all became extremely powerful. They couldn't help but admire the Saintess Aunt's vision. Even among the disabled people, she could pick up treasures and fix them up, making them perfect. Every one of them was a 1 in a million genius. Every time a genius was persecuted by Feng Filing, Tang Guo would take them in without fail, and conveniently included their sect into the scope of the Devil sect. In the beginning, Feng Filing still knew that these sects were included in the Devil sect. Later on, the Devil sect only sent experts over, so Feng Filing didn't find anything wrong. Leng Yeling wholeheartedly followed Feng Filing, and these few years, he didn't pay much attention to the Devil sect. Every time he returned to the Devil sect, he could see huge changes, and all of them were for the better. Out of selfishness, Leng Yeling never revealed to Feng Filing that Tang Guo was in the Devil sect, and that she was the Saintess Aunt. Many people in the outside world were very curious about the Saintess Aunt of the Devil sect. On this day, Tang Guo put on a veiled bamboo hat. Seeing this, Mo Yuntian hurriedly stood up. "Sister, where are you going this time?" Chapter 546. Saint Yuan Sect. Mo Yuntian was a little surprised. "Sister, are you sure it's Saint Yuan Sect?" Saint Yuan Sect was a big sect that was not inferior to Star Moon Sect. This sister was planning to do something big this time. Mo Yuntian's mouth twitched. He really wanted to be alone. But he still couldn't help but ask curiously, "Sister, who's the disabled this time?" It was no wonder he asked this. All these years, every time Tang Guo went out, she would bring back many disabled people. Although they were all repaired, they were still disabled. He filtered through the various young geniuses of Saint Yuan sect one by one and hesitated. In the past 2 years, the most outstanding genius is Ji Chengshan. But Ji Chengshan is already 20 years old this year, about the same age as you. He was suddenly startled. He didn't expect that the school beauty had already lived in this world for so many years. The more he went, the more he felt that she could leave at any time. She was decisive and didn't procrastinate at all. She seemed to have the guts to settle things here and leave as soon as possible. This made Mo Yuntian uncomfortable. "It's him." Tang Guo smiled. "Brother Mo, let's go. If we're late, he'll lose his life." Mo Yuntian didn't hesitate. He quickly selected the disciples and brought them to Saint Yuan sect. As for Bai Wuqing, he naturally followed behind. Mo Yuntian was too lazy to care about him. At this time, something was happening in Saint Yuan sect. Star Moon sect's Feng Filing had somehow formed a grudge with Saint Origin sect's genius disciple, Ji Chengshan. The two of them planned to fight in the life and death arena. The sect masters of both sects had also come to witness this event. "Chengshan, are you sure you want to fight to the death?" The sect leader of Saint Yuan sect was a little worried. Feng Filing isn't someone to be trifled with. In the life and death arena, only one of you will survive. "Are you sure?" Ji Chengshan frowned. "Sect leader, this isn't something I'm sure of. I've never done that before. If she wants to fight to the death, then so be it." "Sigh, Chengshan, She's at the body fusion stage. You're at the spirit severing stage. This was what the sect leader of St. Yuan's sect was worried about. Cheng Shan, why don't you just admit to it and cripple your own cultivation? At the very least, you'll be able to keep your life. Ji Chengshan's talent was simply too good. The Saint Origin sect master couldn't bear to see him lose his life. Even if his cultivation was crippled, at least he would still be alive. As long as he was alive, there would be endless hope. It was not impossible for him to recover. Impossible. Ji Chengshan's expression turned cold. It was absolutely impossible for him to admit that he would do such a thing. His innate talent was excellent, and there were countless female cultivators who adored him. How could he possibly torture a female cultivator to death? Coincidentally, this female cultivator was Feng Feiling's good friend. Ji Chengshan, what are you dawdling for? Hurry up and accept your death. Feng Feiling stood on the life and death arena with a face full of hatred. Today, I will avenge Pei Shui and personally send you, this villain, to hell. Ji Chengshan ignored everyone's attempts to stop him and leaped onto the life and death ring with his sword in hand. I told you, I didn't do it. I was just passing by. Feng Feiling's expression turned cold. Everyone saw you kidnap Pei Shui. If it wasn't you, then who did it? You didn't expect that I would just happen to pass by and see your evil deeds, right? Pei Shui has a face that can cause the downfall of a country. It's not impossible for you to have designs on her. Hypocrite, you did it, but you don't even admit it. Bah. Ji Chengshan really didn't know how to explain it. What annoyed him was that many people said he was the one who kidnapped Pei Shui. Chapter 547. Sister, aren't we going to the Saint Origin sect? This doesn't seem to be the direction to the Saint Origin sect. Mo Yuntian did not understand why Tangguo wanted to come to this remote devil cultivator town first. This place was very chaotic and there were devil cultivators who ate other cultivators to cultivate. Ordinary cultivators would not dare to come to this remote devil cultivator town. Let's find someone. Tangguo's direction was very clear. Mo Yuntian and Bai Wuqing did not know who she was looking for. Host, found. That fellow is in an inn and is about to consume the pill Feng Feiling gave him. What direction? The system quickly informed. Mo Yuntian and Bai Wuqing saw Tangguo, who was originally walking quickly, suddenly run in a certain direction. They did not think too much and quickly followed. Tangguo kicked open the door of a room. Inside, there was an ugly devil cultivator wearing a black robe. When he saw a beautiful woman walk in, he stopped swallowing pills and stared at Tangguo, unable to move his eyes away. Bai Wuqing's cold face had a hint of coldness and anger. He walked up and stood in front of Tangguo. Tangguo walked past him and stopped in front of the devil cultivator. Bai Wuqing was speechless. Beauty, you came here specially to find me. The devil cultivator was very strong. He did not think that Tangguo could do anything to him. He only looked at Tangguo with an infatuated gaze. Even if the veil covered her face, just based on her figure, he could tell that she was a beauty. Last time, he did not have enough fun. Due to some people's request, he had no choice but to destroy the flower. This time, the beauty delivered herself to him. No matter what, he had to have a good time. Tangguo glanced at the jade bottle in the devil cultivator's hand. It contained a very precious pill that Feng Feiling gave him that could help him break through his cultivation. Seeing that Tangguo was looking at his pill bottle, the devil cultivator was delighted. If you want to serve me well, I'll give you this pill. Bai Wuqing pursed his lips. If it wasn't for the fact that he was afraid of ruining her plans, he would have definitely gone up and chopped off this dog's head with his sword. The demon cultivator still wanted to say something, but Tangguo easily snatched the pill bottle away. Feng Feiling gave it to you, right? The demonic cultivator's expression changed. How did the other party know that Feng Feiling had indeed made a deal with him? The price was for him to do something, and the reward was this medicinal pill. After eating it, he could jump 2 levels. What do you mean? The demon cultivator felt that something was wrong and wanted to turn around and run away. However, Tangguo was too fast. He felt a sharp pain in his body and looked down. It turned out that Tang Guo had stabbed his dantian with a knife and stirred it twice. Feeling the power in his body gradually dissipating, the demon cultivator's face turned sinister. His eyes flashed with madness as he planned to perish together with her. Bai Wuqing was one step ahead of him and cut off his last struggle. He even cut off the tendons in his hands and feet. Bai Wuqing withdrew his sword and acted as if he did not see Tang Guo's strange gaze. He said happily in his heart, "I saw that he wanted to use the last of his strength to self-destruct, so I made the first move." The demon cultivator kept staring until Tang Guo fed the pill to a rat. He saw the rat's body explode into a bloody mist with his own eyes. His originally pale face became even paler. He clenched his teeth and cursed under his breath. Feng Filing actually dared to play with him. If he really took this pill, he was afraid that he would be the same as this rat. This woman really had a heart of snakes and scorpions. Chapter 548. Pei Shui is my, Feng Filing's, good friend. I really didn't expect that she would encounter such a thing. Feng Filing stood in the life and death arena and glanced at the dying Ji Chengshan. He pointed his sword at Ji Chengshan's neck. "Ji Chengshan, Pei Shui has no enmity with you. Even if you love her and were rejected by her, you shouldn't treat her so cruelly." Ji Chengshan lay on the ground weakly. His vision was a bit blurry, but he could still see Feng Filing's expression clearly. He couldn't understand the joy hidden in his eyes under the righteous appearance. He didn't know Feng Filing before and had no enmity with him. He had only met Pei Shui twice and had only spoken a few words. As for him loving Pei Shui, there was no such thing. Torturing a woman wasn't something he, Ji Chengshan, could do. He couldn't understand why Feng Filing was so sure that he was the one who did it. Moreover, there were so many witnesses who said that he kidnapped Pei Shui who had no cultivation. Yes, Pei Shui was a woman who couldn't cultivate. Her appearance was indeed devastatingly beautiful. Even if she couldn't cultivate, her comprehension ability was highly valued by the Pei family. She couldn't cultivate, but she could comprehend a cultivation technique and explain it to others. It was also a rare ability. He had talked to Pei Shui before, but it was only when he encountered something he didn't understand and seriously asked for advice. He only had some respect and admiration for Pei Shui and didn't have any other thoughts. With so much evidence showing that he was the one who tortured Pei Shui to death, other than the Saint Yuan sect master, no one would believe that he was innocent. He originally wanted to prove his innocence on the arena, but he didn't expect Feng Filing's strength to be so terrifying that he wasn't his opponent. Now that he was going to die in Feng Filing's hands and die with injustice, his heart was filled with unwillingness. Today, I, Feng Filing, will kill this vicious person here. Feng Filing raised his chin and looked at Ji Chengshan condescendingly. Genius. This was the genius of the Saint Origins sect, Ji Chengshan. He was the one who had watched her suffer in the hands of a group of demonic cultivators, but he still loved Pei Shui so much that he was willing to give up his cultivation for Pei Shui. In this life, she had personally delivered Pei Shui to the hands of the devil cultivators and let Ji Chengshan watch Pei Shui die in such a miserable manner. Now, Ji Chengshan was going to die in her hands, and he was going to die with such a heinous reputation. She hated the geniuses of this world to the core. She would slowly kill all of them. It had been almost 5 years. Starting from Tang Guo, one genius after another had fallen into her hands. She was really excited and happy. Now she was also at the form synthesis stage. In the future, all the famous geniuses would be ruined by her. Even if they didn't die, they would either lose their cultivation or their fortuitous encounter. Their sect would fall into decline, and it would be impossible for them to grow again. She had even paid special attention to these people. After their opportunities were destroyed, there was no news of these people at all. It could be seen that they had long disappeared into the crowd. Perhaps they were already dead. Ji Chengshan didn't miss the smugness and madness in Feng Filing's eyes. Feng Filing's gaze was filled with delight and excitement. Ji Chengshan, I'm going to avenge Pei Shui now. Feng Filing raised his sword and slashed towards Ji Chengshan's neck. On the life and death stage, no one stopped him. Those who went up were all willing. Even the Saint Yuan sect's sect master could only watch. In the end, he couldn't bear to watch and turned his head away. Clang! The sound of a sword falling to the ground rang out. A white-clothed woman wearing a veil and bamboo hat appeared on the life and death stage. She was the one who knocked down Feng Feiling's sword. Feng Feiling was even forced to take a few steps back. He looked at the person in front of him with disbelief and anger. Who are you? Do you know this is the life and death stage? Chapter 549. Ji Chengshan thought he was going to die for sure, but he also heard the sound of his sword being knocked down. He opened his eyes and saw the back of a graceful woman. He was a little shocked that someone dared to interfere with the battle in the life and death arena. He heard the woman in white say, "You asked who I am, but they all call me Aunt Saintess." Ji Chengshan was shocked. Aunt Saintess of the Devil Sect? Mo Yuntian stood in the crowd and wiped his sweat. This girl never played her cards according to common sense. She even dared to interrupt the battle in the life and death arena. Devil Sect. Feng Feiling frowned and glanced at Leng Yeling below the arena, as if to ask why someone from the Devil Sect would come here and ruin her plans. Leng Yeling's body was a little stiff. He jumped to Feng Feiling's side and looked at Tang Guo unhappily. "Why are you here?" "Naturally, I'm here to save someone." Tang Guo's voice sounded like a smile. She pointed at Ji Chengshan, who was lying on the ground. "The person I want to save is him." Feng Feiling said coldly, "This is the life and death arena. Since you're here, it means that both of us are willing to risk our lives. No one has the right to stop us. Aunt Saintess, right? Seeing that you're from the Devil Sect and have some relationship with Brother Yeling, I can let you go. Hurry up and get down." These words warmed Leng Yeling's heart. After being together with Ling for so long, she still cared about him. Even if she was a little cold to him occasionally, at least he was different in her heart. "This isn't the Devil Sect. You can't mess around here. Ling is already letting you go. Hurry up and get down," Leng Yeling said impatiently. He really didn't expect Tang Guo to come. It wasn't good to be obedient in the Devil Sect. Why did she have to come here to provoke Ling What you didn't even greet your aunt when you saw her. You're really rude. Leng Yeling's face darkened. "What nonsense are you talking about? Isn't it that you shouldn't call me aunt?" Tang Guo. Leng Yeling was so angry that he finally forgot where he was and couldn't help but shout out in front of Feng Feiling. After shouting, he felt that things weren't going well. Feng Feiling grabbed Leng Yeling. "What did you call her?" Her expression was unclear. If she didn't hear wrongly, Leng Yeling called out the two words Tang Guo just now. Leng Yeling realized that he couldn't fool her, so he had no choice but to say, "She's Tang Guo." "What? How is that possible?" Feng Feiling widened his eyes and looked at Leng Yeling with a hurt expression. He must have known all along, so why did he still lie to her? Her heart was in a mess. Shouldn't Tang Guo's spirit root have been destroyed? That attack just now was something that even she could not withstand. What was going on? What exactly happened after Tang Guo disappeared? "Brother Yi Ling, you lied to me. Tang Guo is actually in the Devil Sect. Could it be you?" Leng Yeling's heart was in a mess and he hurriedly explained, "Ling listen to me. It's not what you think. I don't know how she went to the Devil Sect either. I was just afraid that you would misunderstand, so I didn't tell you. Previously, she had always been in the Devil Sect and didn't think of coming out." Feng Feiling believed Leng Yeling's words. The other party's anxious look didn't seem to be in cahoots with Tang Guo. As for why Tang Guo became the aunt of the Devil Sect's holy maiden, there might be other reasons. However, she wouldn't show that she believed Leng Yeling's explanation. "Brother Yi Ling, you've really disappointed me. She harmed me once, and now she wants to stop me from avenging Pei Shui. She clearly has bad intentions, yet you still condone her in the Devil Sect. Everyone, this aunt of the Devil Sect's holy maiden is Tang Guo, who was expelled by my Star Moon sect back then. She stole the sect's treasure and failed to harm me, so her spirit root was destroyed. I don't know how she sneaked into the Devil Sect again." Feng Feiling said loudly to the crowd, "Now, She even wants to interfere in the life and death arena's battle to stop me from killing Ji Chengshan to avenge my good friend. I really don't understand why she wants to go against me. Chapter 550. The onlookers looked at each other in dismay. Their scrutinizing gazes fell on Tangua's body, trying to see through the veil. Bamboo had to see the true face of this woman. Was she really Tangua? Tangua was rather straightforward. She raised her hand and took off the bamboo hat, revealing a delicate and perfect face. The corner of her lips curled up, and there was not the slightest bit of panic on her face. She quietly stood on the life and death stage. My name is indeed Tangua. Just as Feng Filing said, my spirit root was once destroyed and I was expelled from the Star Moon sect. As for how I sneaked into the Devil sect, this should not be something that everyone should pay attention to. I'm also not a disciple of the Star Moon sect, so I can go wherever I want. No one can stop me. And why did I stop Feng Filing from killing Ji Chengshan? Tangua chuckled. It's probably because I don't like her and always wanted to ruin her plans. Hearing Tangua admit it herself, Feng Filing was a bit startled. When she reacted, she said with resentment, "You're clearly the one who failed to harm me and suffered the consequences of your own actions. Because you don't like me, you want to stop me from killing Ji Chengshan, this evil person. You don't want me to take revenge for my good friend." Seeing Feng Filing's righteous face, as if she couldn't wait to take revenge for her good friend, Tangua sneered. "Pei Shui, is she really your good friend?" "Naturally," Feng Filing said without thinking. She didn't know why, but her heart was a bit flustered. Her plan was very good, and it could be said that it was flawless. That devil cultivator had most likely taken that pill and died in self-defense. No one else would know about her plan. The Pei family was also here, and they were also very dissatisfied with Tangua's sudden appearance. However, people from the Devil sect were not to be trifled with. Even Mo Yuntian came. Even if he didn't say anything, judging from his attitude, he seemed to be on Tangua's side. And Tangua was also the aunt of the Devil sect's holy maiden. That mysterious woman, the Pei family thought that they could wait and see. Feng Filing, you're a vicious woman. Without waiting for Tangua to say anything, the devil cultivator who had been watching from below could no longer hold back. He knew that he would not have a good ending, but the woman who had harmed him would not have a good ending either. Now, at least he was still alive. If he really took that pill, he would really die with grievances. The sudden voice caused everyone to be stunned. Mo Yuntian received Tangua's signal and brought the devil cultivator to the life and death arena. The demonic cultivators who ate cultivators had a bloody aura all over their bodies. It was an evil and uncomfortable aura. When he stood up, everyone understood that this demonic cultivator must have taken the lives of many cultivators. They couldn't help but look at him with disgust. The reason why the Devil sect was not rejected by the righteous sects was because the cultivators of the Devil sect only had the title of Devil Cultivator in name. They did not cultivate by eating other cultivators. Other than having a bad name, they were not much different from ordinary cultivators. When Feng Filing saw that devil cultivator, he felt that something was wrong. "Who are you?" She pretended to be calm and asked. So what if she found this devil cultivator? As for why she found this devil cultivator, he was one of the people who had harmed her in her previous life. The other people's whereabouts were uncertain. She just happened to meet him, killing two birds with one stone. The devil cultivator could not help but laugh. "Who am I?" "Feng Filing, I have been a devil cultivator for so many years in vain. My heart is not as vicious as a woman like you." He looked at the doubtful gazes of the people present. Feng Filing is the most vicious woman. Pei Shui's death was caused by her. Nonsense. Chapter 551. Feng Filing's heart was in a mess, but her face was calm. She looked at Tangua with a mocking and bright smile on her beautiful face. "Tangua, in order to frame me, you didn't hesitate to collude with a demonic cultivator." Tangua smiled. "Oh, is that so?" She glanced at the demonic cultivator. A crazed look flashed across the demonic cultivator's face as he took out an image stone. Whether I'm speaking the truth or not, you'll know when you see what's inside. Without waiting for Feng Filing to react, he activated the image stone and let everyone see the image inside. This was a somewhat dark room, but they could still clearly see the situation in the room. There were two people, one was the demonic cultivator himself, and the other was Feng Filing. They heard Feng Filing say that he wanted to use a precious pill as a reward to let the demonic cultivator deal with someone. That person was Pei Shui. They saw Feng Filing's sinister face, saying that he wanted Pei Shui to die miserably and let the demonic cultivator play with her however he wanted. Everyone widened their eyes, and the Pei family was even more astonished and furious. As for the Saint Origin sect's sect master, he was relieved. Now that the evidence was conclusive, Ji Chongshan's injustice could be considered cleared. Wen Ziqiu was also stunned for a moment. He didn't dare to believe that the woman with a crazed face and a vengeful aura in the image stone was his beloved Feng Filing. Leng Yeling couldn't help but take a step back and looked at Feng Filing with a somewhat unfamiliar gaze. If Feng Filing wanted to take revenge on Tang Guo, it was Tang Guo who framed her and wanted to destroy her spirit root. This was understandable. As for Pei Shui, she didn't seem to have done anything wrong to Feng Filing. A long time ago, he discovered that Feng Filing was sometimes very extreme. But who asked him to like her? Even if she was full of flaws, he could still tolerate it. He deeply liked her because when his entire family was annihilated and he woke up, he was dragged to a cave to hide by a little girl. When he opened his eyes, he saw the little girl in red, and he recognized her at first glance. Even when he was brought back to the Devil sect by Mo Yuntian, he never forgot about her. Fortunately, he met her again later. If he hadn't seen the image in the image stone with his own eyes, he wouldn't have believed that the person who harmed Pei Shui was actually Feng Filing. He said that he wanted to make Pei Shui suffer so much that she would wish she was dead. He wanted that devil cultivator to play with her however he wanted and find as many people as he wanted. Feng Filing completely didn't expect that devil cultivator to be so cunning. While she wasn't paying attention, she actually left behind an image stone and even recorded these scenes. Tang Guo hadn't thought of this. She wasn't clear about the timeline of the story. Everything could change the timeline. Originally, she planned to find Pei Shui first, but before she could react, she heard Feng Filing and Ji Chongshan's life and death battle, and understood that Pei Shui had already been killed. Man proposes, God disposes. Just like those geniuses that she had picked up, she was not a savior. If she could pick them up, she would pick them up. If she couldn't, she could only say that the slim chance of survival did not belong to them. Linger, did you really do this? The one who couldn't accept it the most was Leng Yeling. This red-clothed girl had always been a warm sun in his heart. It was also this warm sun that supported him until now, and in the end, he personally took revenge for his blood feud. Feng Filing pursed his lips, and a trace of madness flashed across his face. So what if I did? Don't you like me? Just because I harmed Pei Shui, you think I'm vicious? Haven't you thought about why I harmed Pei Shui? Hearing Feng Filing's increasingly outrageous words, the Pei family finally couldn't hold it in anymore. Shuera has always been a good girl. Tell me, how did she treat you? What deep hatred do you have for you to treat her like this? Chapter 552. Today was the worst day since Feng Filing's rebirth. She had never thought that a reincarnated person like her would end up in such a state. She was the one who seized all the secrets of heaven and stepped on all the geniuses she disliked. Only Pei Shui and Ji Chengshan were left. Ji Chengshan was about to die in her hands. As for Leng Yeling, she had already thought of his ending. On the day of Leng Yeling's tribulation, she would tell Leng Yeling the truth, including the fact that she wasn't the one who dragged Leng Yeling into the cave. This was her revenge on Leng Yeling. She would make Leng Yeling lose his mind and die under the lightning tribulation. Only then would she be able to take revenge for her crippling of his spirit root and being tortured by a group of devil cultivators. Leng Yeling's love didn't belong to her at all. She was very clear about this. If Leng Yeling hadn't opened his eyes and saw her, thinking that she saved him, he wouldn't have even looked at her. She didn't care about the love of these men. Love couldn't be compared to absolute strength. In this life, after she took revenge on her enemies and pulled down the high and mighty people, she only pursued strength. She was going to ascend to the immortal world. Leng Yeling was nothing. But she didn't expect that before she could finish her revenge, she made a mistake in the matter of Pei Shui. That devil cultivator didn't explode after taking the pill and even left evidence of her dealing with Pei Shui. She even showed this image to everyone. Facing the shocked and disgusted gazes of countless people, it reminded Feng Filing of her previous life. It was the same. Those despicable people also looked at her like this. I dealt with Pei Shui because of you. Feng Filing couldn't find a good excuse for the time being. Since Pei Shui was already dead, she might as well make use of it and splash dirty water on Pei Shui. That day, she shamelessly looked for me, saying that she liked you and wanted me to give you to her. If I didn't give you to her, she wouldn't treat me as a friend. She even said that she couldn't cultivate and could only live for 100 years at most. She wanted me to fulfill her wish. It was Pei Shui who provoked me first. Feng Filing had a stubborn and crazy look on his face. There were even a few drops of tears in his eyes. Big brother Yi Ling, I just couldn't help it. You've been by my side for so many years. I really couldn't help it when someone else had designs on you. I told her it was impossible. Do you know what she said in the end? She said that if I didn't give you to her, she would think of a way herself. With her smart brain, she would definitely snatch you away. Now, you're actually looking at me with such a gaze. Feng Filing looked hurt. Forget it, I'm the one who harmed Pei Shui. She looked at the Pei family. If you want to take revenge on me, then come. I'm not afraid of you. I'm the one who harmed Pei Shui, but she provoked me first. Feng Filing, just can't stand it. A slut who always wants to steal my man, she deserves to die. After Feng Filing said this, many people felt that she had a reason for doing this. If Pei Shui didn't want to snatch Leng Yeling away, she wouldn't let Feng Filing take revenge. Even the Pei family members were hesitating. If Pei Shui really did this, they would be embarrassed enough. Wen Ziqiu, on the other hand, sighed in relief. He was a little jealous. Linga had actually done this for Leng Yeling, and now she was still doubting her. He really felt that Linga wasn't worth it. He walked to Feng Filing's side. Linga, come back with master. He looked at the Pei family members. Linga was in the wrong regarding Pei Shui's matter, but she asked for it herself. Since Linga was in the wrong, my Star Moon sect will give your Pei family a certain amount of compensation. Patriarch Pei, come to my Star Moon sect to discuss the details. The Pei family members who were originally dissatisfied all hesitated. They didn't directly agree, but they also didn't refuse. In fact, they were already calculating how much benefits they could get from the Star Moon sect. No matter how smart Pei Shui was, she couldn't cultivate. Now that she was dead, they might as well take advantage of this to get some benefits. Tang Gua glanced at Feng Filing. He wanted to escape so easily. It wasn't that easy. There were still many things waiting for Feng Filing. She used her sword to poke Ji Chengshan, who was still lying on the ground. Young Master Ji, can you still get up? You're tuning in to the Dreamy Chapters YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.